Source of the Force, episode 3. I'm Trev, representing Buddha Palm TV, and today we have another special guest for your listening pleasure. We have Mark Harding, close friend of mine, fellow film and kung fu flick geek. We're about to geek out, man. Do you know what I mean? We're going to geek out unapologetically. Is that a word? Yeah, man. That one. You know what I'm saying. We're going to get our geek on, talk kung fu flicks, martial art flicks, action flicks, music, growing up in Reens, all that good stuff. So if that flicks your switch, soon come. Source of the Force, episode 3. And with my guest today, oh my days, haven't even put the overlay on. Bam!
Boom.
Boom! Dow. Yeah, man, Source of the Force, episode 3. And today I'm joined by my good, long-time brethren, Mark Harding. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
You lie. Tell the truth, man. Tell the truth,
man.
Truth
because
is, before I started this, man, you were just ranting.
I'm tired already. This week can do one. 0121, do one.
Do one. You know what I mean?
Work nonsense. People them stupid. Then I come home, pick up his crisps.
Can I just say this is going on YouTube into the public? This is going into the public domain. Like I'll just tell you that, yeah.
All right, forget people to work, man.
Forget you.
Anyway.
Oh my days! But listen, people who's watching this, right? Literally 5 minutes before I started this broadcasting, my man was having a go at me for him being late. That's how deep this was.
It's defensive. I'm in defensive mode.
You know what I mean? I waited for about 45 minutes. You know, I know, man.
Sorry. Got some BMT.
Serious, man. Oh my days. Anyway, welcome to Source of the Force. Another.
This one's gonna be fun, you know.
This is gonna go. Shit's gonna get real, man. You know what I mean? I know it's gonna be. See, my man started on a little bit of vino. All right, it's an evening. And you know the drill. You know the drill for Source of the Force. We bring people on, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Obviously, you very recently have done something pretty cool, I think, with publishing your first book, which is a big deal. But we will get to that in due course.
Yeah, we will get to that. But right now, how we always start this thing off is go through the influences that have sort of come to you in regards to film, music, people, environment, all those sort of things that sort of have influenced you in how you sort of operate and how you go on today. You know what I'm saying? So talk to me the early days of Mark Harding, growing up in Wolverhampton. Talk to me. Marines specifically.
Yeah, man.
Which was an education, shall we say. For musically, I would say I remember my dad had this little like cassette tape box, and it had various albums in it. Bearing in mind from whatever year there was no music played in the yard ever.
Really?
Like nothing, absolutely nothing. But in this tape box was various albums that I knew nothing about. And in there, my dad was like a massive Elvis fan. He thought he was Elvis when he was a youth.
How about this?
Yeah, man. My dad loved Elvis so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I can show you pictures of my dad, like with his slicked hair, the suit, everything. He thought he was him. But in this tape box was some other things, like Chic, The Freak, the album.
All right.
And
I thought you was going to say porn.
Lionel Richie, Can't Slow Down album.
Aye, easy.
And I was like, that doesn't fit with the Elvis vibe. There was the Carpenters in there and all this stuff, like David Essex. And I immediately gravitated towards the Chic, The Freak album, the Lionel Richie album, Can't Slow Down, things like that. And there was a Michael Jackson Thriller and things like that. And I was like, for me, it was like none of that music fits with anything that I know about you, so it didn't make sense. So I listened to these albums, obviously hard. And I was like, oh yeah, man,
there's some really good stuff on the Lionel Richie album, the Chic album, all that. I was like, okay, I really like this.
So how old are you at this point?
At this point, it's early 80s, isn't it? So I am probably 8, 9, and none of my parents ever played music in the house. Neither of them ever. It was either Top of the Pops was on or there was something on telly, and that was it. That was just it. So we had a little boom box in the yard, and I remember one Christmas I asked for a personal cassette tape player, it was a Sanyo one,
Big.
and I got that for Christmas, and I used to rinse batteries through that thing like on the daily. This thing took
was it one of those square ones? Was it one of the square ones, or was it like a big?
No, it was a big chunky square, something red with the orange sponge on the headphones.
Nice,
and
nice.
It took about 8 double A's. It took a lot of batteries, and then got deaded like really quickly. So we used to tape Top of the Pops, get a mic from the setup, put it in front of the speaker on the telly, and tape religiously. Me and my sister, every Top of the Pops show, all that kind of stuff. Do you remember the show? Was it Dance Energy?
Yeah.
With Nonsky. We used to have a mic in front of the speaker on the telly and record all the music, everything.
So how old were you at that point? Because I remember that. That was late. That was later on, wasn't it?
That was Nonsky, and Dance Energy was later on. But
yeah,
the first music stuff for me was those Lionel Richie albums and things like that. And the music that I heard outside the house was because culturally in Whit Marines, it was very diverse. And some of my earliest memories of music was the summer school at the Culture Centre. And the music there was stuff like Gwen Guthrie, Ain't Nothing Going On But the Rent, and like BB&Q Dreamer. There was all these other like soul tunes coming through, and I was just like, what is this? I just loved it. Absolutely. And there was like a boys' club at the back of the Avion Centre. Was it St Andrew's Church?
Yeah.
Community centre.
Yeah.
We used to go there and see Croc and various other people, and there was always someone controlling the sound system, like a little cassette tape, something in the corner, while we're playing pool, table tennis, and all that kind of stuff, playing football.
So what age was this? About what age?
This was about 10, 11, I would say.
Yeah. Okay.
St Andrews, like community church, back at St Avion Centre in Reens. And that's when I started hearing these other types of music. And I was like, oh, this is nice, man. Because in my house, I wasn't really getting any kind of musical influence, really. It was more about what I was hearing out in the street with my friends. Yes. Candy Girl, new edition.
Yeah, talk to me about this, man.
This is
what I mean? This is around that sort of era, right?
This means a lot to me because it was my first ever single cassette tape that I got off the back of Weetabix vouchers on the box. Like, you had to collect 8 of them. Bearing in mind, this had probably been out in America a long time. So it came here, and if something's gotten branded with Weetabix, it's been out for a while, and then mother open it. You feel me?
Yeah, man. If it's got Weetabix on it, it's not white label. Do you know what I mean?
It's not new at all.
It's not brand spanker.
It's not fresh off the press.
No, not at all.
This tune, I was able to buy. I was collect the tokens off the back of the Weetabix box. I posted them, sent it all off, and 2 or 3 weeks later, I got the tape. And it sweeted me so much. It was just a tape, an A and a B side, and you had the single.
Oh, was it like cassette single thing, was it? Yeah. Big.
And it even had like the Weetabix cartoon character on it. Was so cheesy. But I loved it. I was like, Candy Girl, new edition. I am the man. Look at me and my tune.
So how much Weetabix do you have to eat to get Candy Girl?
God,
how much are we talking, man? A lot.
A lot.
You were regular. You had bad tunes and you was regular.
Yeah, I was regular. You know.
Anyway,
been up here.
Wicked. Okay, so hear this.
Oh, now we're talking. You see that there? I know,
Talk to the
like
people
there
what this is.
was films after this, like Beach Street and Across the Tracks, was just the graffiti films, and there was a lot of other stuff. But for me, this one, you see, my older sister went to the cinema to see this when it first came out. And
What was
she
this?
came
This is
back-
about 84, was it, or something?
83, 84, yeah. She came back and was like, oh, everybody started dancing in the aisles in the cinema. They were clapping when the film started, when the music came on, at the end of the thing.
I miss those days, man.
There was people like popping and locking in aisles just doing the thing. And she said, she was like talking about it. I was like, what? That's like unheard of. What is this? What's this? And then eventually the thing came to be on telly and stuff, and VHS. I taped it, and that VHS tape got rinsed because the music from that film and the soundtrack for me today still stands up.
For real.
Some, if you listen to the soundtrack to that film, there's some great films in there, and even Jean-Claude Van Damme's in there
Yes, he is.
doing his thing on little bops.
Yes, he is in some lycras, boy.
Some spandex.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
How good's that?
Yeah, I have to say the
This
soundtrack, the soundtrack to this film, still bangs. It still knocks. For real. So who's this?
Jackie Khan.
With the Chaka Khan, Ain't Nobody. Big tune. So take me back to the times when you first heard these tunes and first watched breakdance. What was going on in Reens?
In Reims, like it was for me, like Culture Centre was a massive part of it because this type of music wasn't for me, wasn't getting played anywhere else. We went to summer school at West Park School. There was always music in the background, there was food, and it opened my eyes to the cultural diversity in Marines of that time in the 80s. And I completely loved it because it was a different vibe. It was something I wasn't aware of. So hearing these tunes and having a laugh with my mates, playing football, table tennis, pool, all this kind of stuff at that time, and having this soundtrack was just, for me, the best. And anytime, I know people who like move out the ends and different areas and they don't like to say where they're from. I'm 100% proud that I was born and raised in Whitmarines. I don't care. I don't care where you're from. If you ask me, I'll tell you. 100% proud.
I think everybody should be proud of where they come from.
Yeah,
You know
man.
what I mean, you should be, man. That's what
I
makes
learned
you.
so much culturally from Whitmarines, my friends, my neighbours, from things where like you used to get instant feedback. If someone had a problem with you, you get lick. They want no WhatsApp. They want no WhatsApp. Like, I'm not happy with what you said. Can we have a discussion?
I don't know how I feel about this.
I'm not sure because
man, straight beating.
I feel really hurt and you should get steamed.
Straight.
I can remember one of my first experiences when I kind of got fast mouth at the best of times, but when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, there was zero filter to people bigger than me, older than me. Just they were running jokes. I was trying to impress them, so I'd say something, and like it was like the instant feedback was this kind of. That meant run. If you saw one of the people you were talking to go screw face, you go. That meant run, hide, disappear, because you were about to get a beating.
Seriously.
And I got several beatings, and I learned quickly to go, keep your mouth shut. With people, know your corner, know your place. In Reens, the feedback was instant. There were no comment section on YouTube. There were no, let's talk about this. You just got straight like a steaming. Remember steams? You get steamed in.
I
used to
remember
just-
Steve's, trust me. It was strange as well. I
Instant
mean,
feedback.
couple of things I want to ask you, right? Is like, okay, so Reens, like you said, Reens is a melting pot for
Yeah.
a lot of different nationalities, even more so now. Do you know what I mean? With like Eastern European people coming in and stuff. So, what was your experience of that as like a white person living in Reens? Reens was like very Asian in that part of Reens, like Nyampton Roadway. Do you know what I mean? And like I went to West Park School. You know what I mean? That's as mixed as it gets. You know what I mean? So
yeah, man.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, what was quite interesting, I've had conversations with my parents, and there are people in Great Hampton Street to this day that my dad's had conversations with me about where they were NF supporters, and I didn't know. They used to have National Front parties in the yard in the same street as all of my black friends. And I was like, and I didn't know until like a few years ago. My dad said, basically, we tried to keep you away from that nonsense because it was nonsense. And I respected my dad for that because he said, if you were cool with someone that was a different culture, we were cool with them. We used you as a barometer to go, yeah, man, you're safe.
Sit there.
And I was just out in the street, just running around, making friends. I didn't see, I just saw different cultures and I just embraced it and loved it. And it was just, that's just my friends. You know what I mean? And when I moved from like into senior school, I started having problems with some of my white friends about my friends. And so if we're all going to meet up and meet someone, I said, yeah, I'm going to come down. If I brought, they were just like, no, you can't come because you're going to bring black people, black friends. They literally said it to me.
Raw.
And I was like, huh?
Oh, next time we're out, point the man out, man, and we have a chat to him.
Mate, trust me, I've got a list. And these
respect,
people are on this list.
Yeah,
I remember going to a house party.
Have a chat.
I think Leroy was with me. And it was on the Penrose, a guy from school. I know, I'm not going to name no names. He turned up at his yard. He said, you can't come in because you've got black friends.
Wowzers.
Wow. And I looked at my black friends and went, we're coming in this yard. And they went, yes, we are. So the guy shut the door. Within 10 minutes, we're downstairs, upstairs, all over in the yard going, what are you going to do? You can try and kick us out? I dare you. And that was St. Eddie's. People who I knew, who I thought were cool, were suddenly dropping that on me. And I was like, my friends are my friends, man.
It's strange because I think the whole kind of the race thing, when you start talking about that, I think obviously the whole thing's based in the unknown and ignorance. You get me?
Yes.
One man's different from another and blah, 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 blah. But I think me growing up in Farndale, Reens originally, then the edge of Reens on Farndale, going to West Park, I think everybody just got on with everybody else because it wasn't like a black or white thing or Asian thing or whatever. It was a Brock thing. Everyone was skint, man. You know what I mean? That's what it was. Nobody ran anybody else about colour. Everyone ran anybody else about whack trainers or a bad haircut.
Standard if you had like high tech or quasar trainers.
So, mate, I remember getting trainers from flipping Staveley Road, man. Some Speed King, some Adidas 19 stripe or something.
Yeah,
man. There's one
Adidas,
engine shop on
Adidas
Staveley
Minji
Road,
was
man.
2-stripe. Adidas Extra was 4-stripe.
Yeah, man, that's about 5-6 stripes, mate. You know what I mean? There's more stripe than trainer. Serious thing.
Well, I once had a pair of Adidas Kick from a neighbour 3 doors down. They had a hole in the bottom. They had cardboard in. They gave them to me, and I was chuffed.
Yeah, man.
I was like, I'm rocking Adidas Kicks. They got a hole in the bottom. They got cardboard for like a shooting, and I didn't care. I was like, yeah, man, I made it. I'm here.
Yeah, that's it, man. Labels, man. But the thing is, though, I think if you look at history now, and you look at my man, what's his name, Enoch Powell, when he makes that River of Blood speech, right? Yeah. And he's talking about there's a school, because he was the MP for Wolverhampton, you know.
Yes, he was.
And he was talking about the River of Blood speech, where there's a school there where there's only like one white kid in the school or whatever. That was West Park.
I know, yeah.
It was West Park he was talking about, man. Do you know what I mean?
Mate.
And it's crazy to think how diverse Wolverhampton is, the Midlands is.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of places that aren't, and I personally think it's better for it, the mixing and like for yourself. Do you know what I mean? 100%. You're a person I class as a close mate. Do you know what I'm saying? Closer than that, man. Family, basically. You know what I mean? So it's I don't watch it, man. Do you know what I mean? I don't watch that.
I know.
We're getting deep too early right now, you know, bro.
Deep now, aren't we? Well, I have to say, I used to love going to the Culture Centre, the Afro-Caribbean Centre in town, man, because it was just one thing was the food. Everybody went there because you're going to get curry goat, rice and pea, fun, everything. And I was like, why am I not going there, man?
So
fed.
Educate the people in the concept of like summer school, and because it you used to have it at West Park sometimes, and then other times it was at Culture Centre.
So summer school was basically just a community vibe where the kids used to go during the school holidays just to go and be active and do constructive things under supervision. We did it at West Park School where we played football, and they used to make quizzes and do all sorts of stuff. But you always saw the same people week in, week out turn up every day from Marines majority. And it was just about bringing the kids off the streets into somewhere supervised where they could have fun, but also be managed a little bit and kept an eye on. And they'd have you from like 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. if you wanted to, but there was no parent management. It was just the child came and left as and when they pleased, which was brilliant because you go in there early mid-morning, maybe hear some tunes, play some pool goes to your friends, go and do something else, come back later for dinner time, get fed, go away and do something else, come back. There'd be some music. They put a film on. That was one of the first places I got introduced to Jackie Chan, Fearless Hyena. They had a separate room at the Afro-Caribbean Centre upstairs where they'd have a telly on a stand and chairs set up like a little cinema. And I think maybe the kids were getting a little bit unruly. You go, man, I can't tired of these kids, man. They're sitting down and put telly on. And they used to put on Jackie Chan films. And we used to go in and sit down and be like, what's this?
I know, man, different things.
You know, watching Fearless Hyena and all those early Jackie Chan films, man. Project A, Lucky Stars. There's like so many.
Yeah.
And that was the first spot.
Yeah. I think at that time at the Culture Centre, there was a big sense of community between all the people our age, where people used to come to like the summer school, like from Reams, like you said, primarily because that's the nearest place. But especially when it was in Culture Centre, you'd have like Blake all come down, you'd have Reams, you'd have All Saints, whoever come down, everyone come to one place. It's like I was talking to Tony in the last interview, and he was talking about all the different youth clubs and stuff where everyone used to mix, man. And it was, I'm not sure if that could happen now because of all that the postcode thing. It's weird, man. Do you know what I mean? So
I don't think you're right. You're probably right. I don't think you would get it. But it was such a special time.
It's a shame.
Mr. and Mrs. Lou, who used to run and own the Culture Centre, they lived in my street, in Great Hampton Street.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Lou, man. That's like salute. And when that the Culture Centre finished, they took over the pilot at the back of the Avion. They took over that, and Mrs. Lou used to cook like curry chicken and curry goat out of there, man. And I used to just go in there because I know the food would be tough.
I see a pattern emerging, Mark.
Yeah, food is the thing.
You get me?
I used to go in there, even though I was a grown up and an adult, I'd go in there, get some food, and Mrs. Lou used to just go, just nod at me, and I go, "Oh, Mrs. Lou, yeah,
man, still Mrs. That's the thing. Do you call her Mrs. Lou as well?
Yeah, man, respectful all times.
That's the thing. It's like my auntie, man. My auntie. I still call her Auntie Alice. That's it, man. That's it.
Always be Mr. and Mrs. Lou, man. No matter whatever goes on, it's like salute, man.
That is it. That's proper. That's how you do it, mate. That is how you do it. Yeah. So okay. So you're talking about going to the Culture Centre and getting your first sort of exposure of the main man, the legend that is Jackie Chan. So going back a bit before that, what do you feel when you hear this?
I know we're talking. Labby Shifra soundtrack.
Hello, Shifrin. What film is this? What's this from?
Enter the Dragon, man.
That's right, yo.
If you don't know this, then you need to take yourself outside and have a word. I can still watch this film from beginning to end now.
It's true.
There is nothing about this film that isn't proper. Absolutely nothing. there was a dude at work, right, whose name was Jim Roper. And every time I saw him, in my head, I go, Mr. Roper, there are places you will not go. And I'm like, I love the hand character. He was a badass. But like for 10 years, this guy at work was called Mr. Roper. And in my head, I had that voice saying Mr. Roper. And I wanted to say, I wanted to speak to him about it, but I just couldn't do it.
How old were you when you first watched this?
God. It must have been on telly. I'd say 85, 86, 87, somewhere around there. My parents must have let me stay up late.
Yeah.
And I watched it. I was like, what? And there's moments you go, who is this guy? He died the year I was born.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still
That was mid '73.
I'm still gutted to this day what he could have done. His son Brandon, the films he did, Rapid Fire. If you don't know about Rapid Fire, Brandon Lee, like different levels, man. Different levels.
Yeah.
He did The Crow, obviously, and things like that. Was a bit more commercial, but for me, Brandon Lee's best film was Rapid Fire.
Rapid Fire was a big film, mate. Big film. The fight scenes, the choreography in that were just different at the time. They were just different. You know what I mean? More realistic fighting rather than kind of like Bruce Lee. When you look at a Bruce Lee film, you take it as the classic that it is. Yeah. But when you see the fight scenes and man's in a circle, man's coming at him one at a time kind of thing, it's kind of like, but it's still a done.
But the time it was fly.
At the time, it was nothing. You hadn't seen anything like that, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Nah, it's incredible. Yeah. So we're going from Enter the Dragon, right? And then we're going to move on to. Let's click through here. We're going to move on to this bad man, yes, sir.
Now we're talking. Snake and Crane Arts of Shaolin. Possibly one of my all-time favorite Jackie Chan films. He was so young, and I think this was the first film where he was the star. Because I don't know how many people know, but he was in Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
As a stuntman.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Enter the Dragon. It was Fist of Fury. When he fights the Japanese guy at the end, Jackie Chan was the guy who got clapped through the doors at the end. So
I didn't know that actually. I didn't know that. I know Sammo Hung was in Enter the Dragon.
Yes, Enter the Dragon. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
But Jackie Chan was in Fist of Fury.
Right.
And so at the end when he fights like the white guy and the Japanese guy, there's a scene where the Japanese guy gets kicked and he goes flying through these like Japanese sliding doors. That was Jackie Chan.
Right. Okay.
That was his first appearance as a stuntman on a film.
So that was early 70s.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
A few years later, he did this, and he was the star.
Yeah.
And from a very young man, how he moves, his fluidity and his speed I was just like, wow, different level. Love this film.
And I to this day think that Jackie Chan invented parkour. You know what I mean? When you go and watch some of his films.
You go watch him with a set of ladders. You might think, let me go fight this man. He's holding ladders. If it's Jackie Chan, I go, no, I'm good. He'll lick you with the ladders.
He's got ladders or a towel or anything.
Anything?
You know what I mean? Anything, man.
Any kind of accoutrement.
Yeah, man. He will slap you up with it, mate. No question.
Man. Project A, when he used like all the different levels of the buildings, he fell through canopies and still carried on fighting and then carried on. Just nobody can do Jackie Chan, man. Nobody's done it since.
So it's sounding to me, talking to you, right, very similar to me, man. You like a film. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like where the whole Buddha Palm thing came from. Do you know what I mean? Our love of action films, martial art films, just film in general. You know what I mean? Yes, so definitely. It's interesting. So if we're going to geek out, let's geek out. Yeah, that's what I say. Let's geek the F out. You know what I'm saying? So Jackie Chan now. So Jackie Chan, what are your thoughts on Jackie Chan as in his position in the kind of martial arts hierarchy?
Oh, it's tough.
Compared to like Bruce Lee, Jet Li, any other Lee, you know what I mean?
From deep down in my heart, Bruce Lee's number one.
Why?
But I loved his style. For the fact that he was doing that in early 70s, what
pioneer,
he did, and the level he did it at. In my heart, deep down, Bruce Lee's, I think he's edging it, but the body of work that Jackie Chan did and how he did it from Armor of God, from the fight scenes in Armor of God. I can remember having that on VHS, and I literally played it from the beginning and watched the counter, and I made notes of where the fight scenes were on the counter. So if I wanted to watch Armor of God and just watch the fight scenes, in my notepad somewhere, I'd have like a number to forward the video to, just to get to the fight scenes from the film.
Hey, and tell the people this was before stepping through chapters on a Blu-ray or DVD. This was like rewind.
Yes,
basically
watch it, write down the number, everything. Armor of God.
The struggle was real.
Was, man, and he mashed himself up, man. There's a scene where he jumps off a wall onto a tree. It broke shoulder, ribs, all sorts. Broke himself on trying to jump onto that tree. The amount of times he failed to make that stunt, he just mashed himself up. But he got up and kept doing it until he got it, and then he went to hospital. Like, because some of the stuntmen in there, I think they're dead.
Yeah, there's got to be. I think when you stop and look at like Eastern cinema compared to Western cinema. Okay, so check Armor of God. Armor of God was, I don't know what year, 80 something, 80, mid 80s maybe,
yes,
late 80s.
I think it was 80, 88 or 80,
88,
somewhere around there.
Okay, 88. So what came out around the same time over here in the West, so to speak?
I can remember there was a big film called Tango and Cash.
Yeah.
With
I know what you're going to say.
You know exactly what I'm going to say.
Yes, I do.
And the opening scene where Sly Stallone pulls a gun on a bus and it'll fall out the bus onto something. If you go and watch Police Story, he'd done that exact same stunt 10 times better about 5 years before.
With less padding.
Yes, with no padding.
T-shirt.
I mean, they just had paramedics on the side going, "Look, man, it's going to hurt. We got you. Go. Action."
All the lights are on green, ran straight to the hospital. Do you know what I mean?
Falling out of windows onto cars.
Yeah.
And they cut before they could get up and go, "I think I'm dying." They just cut the scene and went, "Yeah, they're fine."
Yeah.
Then on came the stretcher.
Yeah. I think the big thing with sort of the Eastern cinema against like the West at the time was the Eastern cinema, especially like martial arts and action films. It was just deep. They'd have production houses that made just churned films out.
Yes.
Like those production houses would own actors, Shaw Brothers, Golden Harvest, that just churn films out, man, make multiple films. And there were guys that were just amazing stunt people, and the stunts were very, very realistic. Do you know what I mean? And that was a whole part
Liao.
of it.
Was it Gordon Liu or Liao?
Yeah.
His stuff was as a Shaolin.
36 chambers.
36 chambers. All the rest. Man, he then did the film with Uma Thurman and what's his name? What was it called? Kill Bill.
Kill Bill.
He played about 3 or 4 parts in that film. He played Pai Mei. He played the leader of the 88 Dragons and all that.
Crazy 88.
Crazy 88. He played so many roles in that, and people didn't know. This dude, deep in it, man. He's been doing it for like 40 years.
Yeah, wicked. Still Rocky Horse, man. Still
Rocky
man.
Horse. Yeah, man.
Jackie Chan, salute, mate.
All day.
All day, man. Absolute legend.
They took him over to America and did a film, and like Hollywoodized it, and they wouldn't let him do any stunts. And they were like, let's try and get your audience to bring him over here and do what you do. But he was like, well, part of what I do is I roll over this chair onto that table, jump off that wall, jump on that, broke somebody with a chair, come back here and look good. And they were like, insurance won't let you do that, Jackie. So could you just gambol over that chair? He's like, it's not the same thing. So they did the film and it was terrible.
Was that Battle Creek Brawl?
No.
Was that one?
No.
Which one was that one?
That wasn't great. No, it was one where it was like a police story one. I'm trying to think of it, but it was like a police story kind of film, and it just, you could see how the stunts in the film were Jackie Chan type stunts, but they were just
watered
down from 10 to 1, and you were like, oh, it could have been so much better.
They all had a risk assessment, and it was just like, all right.
You know, 10 people going, we can't have that, Mr. Chan.
It is funny though, like when you stop and watch, like, say, okay, you go and stop and watch a Jackie Chan film, you watch Police Story, or you watch Drunken Master, or you watch Young Master, or you watch Fearless Hyena, you watch any of those, right? All of those predate things like No Retreat, No Surrender.
Let's not talk about No Retreat. I love.
It's a big film.
It's one of my favorites.
Because I remember watching that and thinking that was the dogs. That was the dogs until you saw those other ones, and you're like, yes. And then you kind of do a Pepsi challenge, and it's like dash with that. You know?
Lauren Avedon. Big respect to Lauren Avedon. Follow him on Facebook and various things. Massive fan, top fan. Was it No Retreat, No Surrender 3, Raging Thunder? That was my jam.
Cynthia Rothrock.
Cynthia Rothrock, man, it's a badass.
Yeah, man.
Love her.
Bad.
Was Ed Norton or something? Norton, she was used to fight with.
Yeah. I can't remember.
Australian dude.
Yeah. They're still about, man. They're still doing stuff.
They're
still doing bits.
Yeah, man.
They're about like 100 years old, but still amazing. Do you know what I mean? Still look good.
Once upon a time, One Fei Hong.
You know what I mean? Yes. So, you know what I mean? Since we're geeking out, man, do you know what I mean? We might go a little bit more modern and we talk about the martial arts cinema becoming more sort of accessible over here. Yes. Let's talk about this film here, or this actor here, for example.
So Jet Li, for me, was the one who brought it back to this kind of stuff that I used to see from Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. He did that kind of old school flavor, popping and locking, but
popping and locking
in the films with the martial arts. But he did it with a fluidity because he was a wushu world champion from the age of like 2. He was like, he'd got world championships for wushu for like several years in a row, and then he started doing. He did quite a few films. What was it now? There was a few films that he did like as a Shaolin-based style that got him notoriety. And then he started as he got older.
The Shaolin Temple series.
That's the one. Shaolin Temple. There was like
Shaolin Temple.
There was a few of them.
Yeah. He
did those. I was like, oh damn. And he did the wushu kind of, which is like the Chinese national martial art, which is like just a beautiful thing. And he started doing it in these kind of films, which is based on Wong Fei Hung, which was basically a mythical character who was a doctor and healed and helped people and all that, fought bandits and all that kind of stuff. And he did these films that Once Upon a Time in China, I think there's about 3 or 4 of them. And the level of martial arts in these is super high. Like stuff like Iron Monkey with Donnie Yen. You know, for me, Donnie Yen and Jet Li are on a similar level.
Yeah, man.
Different age brackets. Donnie is a bad man. But
certified.
Jet Li was one of those who brought that in the early 90s. Then when he landed a role in Lethal Weapon 4, I was like, oh, damn, yes, finally. Hollywood is going to get a true martial artist. And the stuff he did in was it Lethal Weapon 4 or whatever it is, I loved it. He did that little baddie thing and dropped his style hard and dipped. And I was like, yes, he did it right. He did some wicked stuff.
So when what sort of time, what sort of year was it when you started to watch things like this, Once Upon a Time in China and Fearless Hyena and the other Jackie Chan?
It's all early 90s. I'd say late 80s, early 90s was when I geeked out on martial arts, man, on the films. I think I pretty much watched or owned everything that Jackie Chan had ever done, ever. With him, Donnie Yen, Yun Bu, Sammo Hung. Like, if you don't know about Sammo Hung, like, go and watch Eastern Condors.
Big.
That is, for me, his best film.
Do you know what? Even going down to Martial Law, his series, his cop series thing, man. I used to love that, you know.
Yeah.
And that was like the precursor of Rush Hour, where you've got like the martial artist and then that the sidekick, the black guy sidekick who runs joke.
Okay.
Had Arsenio Hall as his sidekick.
Yes. Yes. Do you remember? Remember? I think it was late 80s. The TV show called Ninja, which was Lee Van Cleef as a ninja.
Lee Van
The martial,
Cleef.
no, from the Western films, Lee
Yeah,
Van
yeah,
Cleef.
yeah. I know Lee Van Cleef. Yeah, yeah.
Lee
Is
Van
that like a
Cleef
kung
played
fu,
like a
fu
master
kind of style thing?
ninja.
Wow.
And not, mate, trust me, I loved that show. It was
Was it good?
cheesy as hell,
I've never heard that, mate.
but
It's
it
like
was the
watching kung
first
fu. It's
TV
terrible.
show that did the ninja style thing. Remember, was it Ninja 3, The Domination, with the woman from Breakdance?
Yes.
But she got
yes.
possessed by this ninja and did all that kind of stuff. I loved all them stuff, man. It's so cheesy.
I think that won the Oscar that year. I think best film,
For
best
special
screenplay.
effects.
That worked very special.
Mate, Ninja 3, The Domination, go and get it, man. Don't just watch it. It's so cheesy, but late 80s, early 90s when it was out, I was like, what is this? It was amazing. They did some
Yeah.
crazy stuff with the ninja style films. And we talk about Shokasugi.
I was going to
Black
bring
Eagle,
him up. Yeah,
you know.
deep. Shokasugi's deep.
Shokasugi, he's Ute. Yo,
Yeah,
I love Shokasugi.
yeah.
Because he played the baddie in that, what was that ninja film that was out a few years ago that came out?
Is it
about
Ninja
5 or 6
Assassin
years
or
ago.
something?
Yes.
Ninja Assassin. Was
He
it?
played the baddie in it.
Yeah, yeah,
Wicked.
yeah. I think around about this sort of time, like I remember the first martial art film. I mean, obviously, I think I watched Enter the Dragon at some point. I can't remember what year it was, but I think the first martial art film other than Enter the Dragon that I watched and just fell in love with watching martial art films and couldn't get enough of it was Drunken Master, and that was Jackie Chan. And
Even Drunken Master 2, people say it's better than 1.
oh, Drunken Master 2 is heavy, man. Do you know what I mean? Heavy.
Different levels, man.
Different level, man. And I think one of the things about Jackie Chan is that it was a shame that he didn't really get the full notoriety in the West, apart from people who knew were in the know, until he hit on Rush Hour, which he was like 40 something, man. Do you know? And still killing it.
Yeah,
He was still killing it, but it wasn't at his prime. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't think the West was ready for that kind of film, that sort of action.
For me, Jackie Chan's best stuff was Armor of God 2, Operation Condor. I also love that film. Some of those fight scenes in that are so slick. And he's fighting multiple opponents with various things in the room. And that's another film that I literally had. I pressed play and I'd forward it to, because I knew where the fight scenes were. I'd got that catalogued.
Yeah.
That was another one. Armor of God 2, Operation Condor. Love
Best
that
Jackie
film.
Chan fight, I'll tell you what it is. Jackie Chan against Benny the Jet.
Nice.
Forget about it.
Him and Benny the Jet, man. Benny the Jet's a bad motherfucker.
Was it Meals on Wheels? Wheels on Meals? Meals on Wheels? Meals on Wheels?
Yes,
Mate, man. Big film.
Yes.
All of that stuff,
Around
man.
that
Do you know what I
table
mean?
with Yumbo and Samahawk.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
I even read Jackie Chan's biography. It talks about the Chinese opera upbringing that him and all his people had.
Just basic torture and abuse, man, basically.
What? Ruthless, man. You either did a handstand for 10 minutes. Like, was it 10 minutes? You got beaten. First put the foot down, got beaten with a cane. So they would had them doing handstands for half an hour in the end. Just so if you put your foot down, you get beaten with a cane.
That's why the man's so good, man. Do you know what I mean? I guess. Yeah, I bet there's a lot of people that didn't make it and just got licked for nothing. You know what I mean? Serious. That sucks. That sucks. So around this sort of time, going into the 90s, I know me and you used to move together, and we used to start collecting our films now. We started collecting VHSs, and do you remember a shop called Eastern Heroes? Talk to me about Eastern Heroes. Tell the people what Eastern Heroes. I think it's still about. Is it still about?
I think it's still going.
Because I know they do a magazine. They've got, yeah.
So basically, Eastern Heroes was the only place to get true hardcore martial arts films from every genre. If there's something you wanted, just go to them. They'd have it. Like any kind of random films that you wanted, you could, no matter what you search for, you couldn't find anywhere else. You just go to them. They had it in abundance. They had back catalogs going like back 40 years. It might cost you 20, 30 quid, but if you wanted it, it's there. Eastern Heroes was like, without a doubt, at that time, the best place to get your geek martial arts on.
We used to actually go to London for the day, go down on the coach or train,
Remember?
go to Eastern Heroes in Camden just to go to the shop to buy Kung Fu flicks.
Yeah, man.
That's would he say that out loud? That's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, but going down to London at that point was a big deal, man. Do you remember when we went to see Biggie?
Yeah.
We went and saw Biggie, you know. Some people don't
Biggie.
realise we saw Biggie live at the London Palladium with Puff Daddy supporting and Craig Mack. Flavour in your ear.
Yeah, and now they're both
You know,
dead.
I know.
I know what I mean. Rest in peace, Biggie.
If we went down to London, it was for something special. It wasn't no like, you know, weekend trip for why not. It had to be something on that was hot or we really wanted to do. Like going to see KRS. You know, going down to London to see KRS-One. Like what? How good was that?
That was a big show, to be fair. KRS Live is amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. In fact, I'm gonna have to play some KRS, man. Just talk while I
yeah,
line
man.
this up.
So we like randomly when we went to see, to be fair, bringing things together, we went to see Biggie. At that time, Street Fighter and there was a Virtua Fighter had some like kind of old school kung fu characters in it. We went down to see Biggie. We're in there, and Tim Westwood is dropping like Wu-Tang Clan hard, and then there's some youths there doing dancing, but using the Virtua Fighter kung fu characters moves from the game. Do you remember that?
Shun D.
They were doing his spins and flips and drunken actions to Wu-Tang Clan. I can remember standing there. I think you were there. I was just standing going, what?
Different
What
levels,
is
man.
this? That was just, it blew my mind. And that was before Biggie even came on the stage. I was like, this is nuts. You know, KRS-One.
I remember going to the KRS concert, man. We come through the door and we just like stepped into the middle of the cypher, man. It was going off. There was windmills flying there. It was like,
It's true.
it was like 1984 in there, man.
People knew, man. They went in.
That was hip hop lives. Hip hop lived at that gig. Trust me.
Golden
It
era that was,
beautiful.
man.
Beautiful, mate. It was beautiful.
Absolute golden era.
Yeah. So let's talk about music then, right? So we talked a lot about kung fu, and we're going to come back to that a bit later, right? But let's say, okay, let's go.
Now we're talking. EPMD, it's my thing.
Let's let that run, man. That bass is sick.
Turn it up a bit, man.
MCs out there, you better stand clear. EPMD is a
How Chris is that?
Proper. Talk to me about EPMD
First
and this tune.
piece of vinyl I ever bought. I'm so proud of that moment. I'm
Mate,
so proud.
do you know what, right? The first vinyl that you bought is way cooler than the first vinyl I bought. Let me tell you that.
And what was your first piece of vinyl?
I know. This isn't about me, it's about you, bro. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what, though? I've got to be honest. I went into Ruby Red Records, respect to DJ Max, the knowledge.
Big up,
I went
Max.
into that shop to find something else, and that was playing. And I was just like, what?
Head
I
got
want one of
turned.
them. I have one of those.
Oh, that one.
I want that one. And then the reason I went after, I'm going to totally shoot myself in the foot, but I went in there originally to buy LL Cool J, I Need Love.
Oh, snap.
But at the time, the tune was hot. And it was
Yeah.
big in the charts. It was on top of the parts and stuff. That's what I went in there to buy. But I
You went-
actually bought
Hold on,
It's
so
My
let me get
Thing,
this right,
EPMD. And I've still got it to this day.
Oh, let me break this down, right? You went in there for LL Cool J to come out with EPMD.
Yes.
That's a level up for real.
That's a good switch.
That is
It's
a good switch. Real talk. That is a good
And I
switch.
still have that piece of vinyl to this day. And it will go with me to my grave.
Or will it?
Yes,
Yeah, man.
it will. Unless Sam steps up with his music game, then it's staying with me, trust.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna have to put this isn't working. Yeah, let me try that again. I'll edit this Ross out. Hold on, let me.
Yeah, but like growing up in Reens was a trip, man. I like the amount of things that went on in Reens when we were kids. Like our kids ain't never gonna get to experience what we did
Good,
running around these streets. But it's an
Good.
education.
good.
I had
They're
a
not
senior,
supposed to.
and I had a senior management meeting where I work, talking about how tough they had it in Wales in a village, about talking about didn't have anything to do, and I was like, well, it was really tough for you, and I was in my head, I'm going, well, on my street there was police, like armed raids, prostitution, glue sniffing, and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, maybe I got it wrong, maybe I had it easy. You know what I mean? Growing up in that kind of scenario, and then going, oh yeah, it was really bad in Wales. We had, didn't have any money to do anything. I didn't have any money to do anything, but we got into some stuff.
Yeah, no one had anything. I think the thing is nowadays where there's like a drive, everyone's driving to get the Chris's train. I've seen people wearing like £120 pair of trainers to school. Mate, I was long into working before I had any trainers more than £50.
I did YTS, and the first 2-week pay packet I had, I spent the entire money on Jordan 4s, the blue and grey cement ones.
Salute to that.
That was the first. I took my dad took his money out of my wages, which was nothing, and I said, "Here's shop, have all my money. I want these trainers."
Yeah,
and I was broke for the next 2 weeks, but I didn't care.
You got some Chris trainers, just walked home.
Flies crept around, man.
Yeah, man. So, okay, so we talked a little bit about music, a little bit about film, martial arts. I think we jumped the gun a bit with the martial arts. Right, let's bring that back. Let's rewind. Right, and let's talk about.
I can never talk enough about martial arts, man.
Well, we're going to go back there again. Don't worry about that, man. We'll dip in, dip out. Dip in, dip out. You know what I mean? So, if I'm showing you this, right?
There we go.
What sort of memories does that bring back to you?
Man, that was just rushing home from school to watch Cities of Gold. Come on, man. The storyline.
I've got to put my hand up, right? I wasn't feeling Mysterious Cities of Gold, you know.
No.
I think it was long. It was
you more Dog Tank? Was it Muskehound? Dog Canyon and Muskehound?
I was all about Battle of the Planets, mate. That was
Battle of the Planets was here. I'll give you that one.
I'm about that
life.
But
I love Cities of Gold because the story was so deep.
I'd have to go back and check it, you know. It just took too long.
It was deep.
It
was long. It was
100%. The one thing was like about 15 years long. Do you know what I
mean? The one storyline was 15 years long. It's true. It's true. The storyline was long. That's what had me. That's what got me.
Yeah,
man.
But it's interesting to think that this was the start of sort of exposure for the masses in the UK, or for us anyway. I don't know if anything came before this, of like anime, like the sort of Japanese animation. Yes. And it was kind of a watered down version, but this was like the start of it. This Battle of the Planets, Ulysses.
You know what I mean? I've got a T-shirt with Ulysses now. Love Ulysses. I can sing you the theme tune if you wanted, but I won't.
You're safe, bro. You're safe. Let's just hold that
Love
thought.
Ulysses.
You know what I mean? Yeah, let's show the people use it. Talk to the people about this bad boy, man. Ulysses 31.
Oh man,
what's the storyline, man? What
so
was it all
basically, the main character Ulysses was looking for redemption from the gods of the time, like a Greek god kind of situation, and he was out there searching for redemption by helping people and helping the people that they were in like a place of like stasis where they were alive but they were dead, and he had to go and find a way of saving them. And he was just on that journey in outer space. It was like a Greek god kind of mythology, but in outer space. And that
set in the future
just had me locked in. I was all the way invested in that, man. I've got a T-shirt out there. I love it.
I was all the way invested. I've got a T-shirt, so that means business.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
Now That was like 40 years ago. Long time.
Extra medium. You know what I mean?
Well, large. I'm being nice.
But all these, I mean, just kids' TV. The problem is, right, I think nowadays kids have so many more options, so much more to actually view.
Crazy. We had like 4, wasn't it? BBC One,
4
BBC
channels,
Two,
man.
ITV, Channel 4.
That's it. Do you know what I mean? So when there was like a children's section, sort of like a time slot where they had kids' programs on. So you had to get back and watch that, or you missed it. Otherwise, it's news and Gardener's World, brethren. If you're missing that, you know what I
Songs
mean?
of Praise.
Yeah, man.
I was out
Grange
the yard
Hill.
for that one.
Serious, man. Grange Hill, Willow the Wisp, all them thing there.
The Wisp. Dungeons and Dragons.
That's another bit. That was my favourite. I was about
That
that.
was a big
I was
one.
about
That was. The
Dungeons
thing is, you
and
watch
Dragons.
that back now, it's whack, man.
Is it? You know what? I haven't watched it for a while.
I've
to be
watched
fair.
it back. Do you remember the subway, the other side of the Avon Centre, when it had the graffiti? They had Venger.
Venger. Yeah.
Oh, no. I was like, what?
Yeah, that was sick. To be fair, that was sick.
Shout out to
So-
whoever did that.
Yeah, I don't even know who did that, man.
No,
Do you know
no,
what I
no.
mean? I know there was plenty of graffiti artists around our way, but
There's a few.
shout out to Dazzy. You know what I mean? But I'm not sure who did that.
Yeah, Temper.
Okay, edit back in. Boy.
As we go live.
In
Oh,
it.
no, we thought, yes.
So we're looking at, obviously, you've seen Mysterious Cities of Gold. We've seen like Dog Tanyan. We've seen Battle of the Planets. We've seen Ulysses. That was the early flavors of Japanese animation, Japanimation, if that's a term, reaching the UK and kind of captivating audiences and stuff. So talk to about this. What does that word, a manga sort of label?
For me, initially, manga, I was first into this with the film Akira. And the first time I saw the anime film Akira was I was in Fox's nightclub on a Tuesday student night. Should have been there. Got work in the morning.
What age?
God, I would say 17, 18. I was in this place and they got it on the screens as like a background kind of drop.
Sick.
And rather than I was sitting there talking to friends, having a drink, seeing if there's any nice ladies around. And I got more interested in the anime that was on the screen. I was like, what the
Foxes
hell
though,
is
innit, man?
this?
It's Foxes on a Tuesday, though, isn't it? You know what I mean?
It was big. And I was just like, it was like £10 a pint. 10p. And I was looking at the tellies going, what the hell is this? I've never seen anything like this. And that made me go and find out the film. And I went and watched it. And I was just like blown away. The storytelling, the narration, the actual idea for the story, how they did cutscenes and different things. Akira, I mean, Tetsuo, the bike, it's iconic. That bike's iconic. It was even in the film Ready Player One. That bike was in Ready Player One, a Steven Spielberg film. Iconic stuff. And I had that. I've got 5 or 6 of the. I've got all of them. The original anime comic books, the
graphic novel.
compendium of all of them. I've got 6. I've got 6 books right here. They've got the original story to the film.
Yeah.
And
Because you were always big on sort of the anime at the beginning and big on the whole sort of graphic novel thing.
Yeah.
I know, man. You used to geek me out. Like, I'm a geek, man, but you used to geek me out, man. Like, friggin' hell, Mark, man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The thing is, a lot of the
He's gone
time,
too deep with
the
me.
stories, when the story is good and the artistic merit for what's been drawn to depict the scene is stunning, I'm like, you've got me. And this film is nothing like the original story. Believe it or not, there's when you read the original anime, and I've read the book before and the film's made. None of that nonsense. But real talk, if you read
Do you know what?
original anime,
I hate when the Harry Potter lot start that nonsense.
can I swear? I hate
Yeah,
Harry
man.
Potter. Fuck Harry Potter. Harry Potter can go.
Yeah, man. Dry. You know
But
what I mean? Anywho,
when you read the original story for Akira,
I can edit that back out, man, because I don't know hating. You know what I mean?
yeah, no worries. So if you read the original Akira's story from the comic strip or books, it's the film is nowhere near as good as that, because there's so many characters in that film that get shortened down to a very small part.
Yeah.
That it's insane. I love the film. The film's amazing, but you have to read the original, man. Just read it. I've got it here. If you, mate, Trev, if you want to read it,
Yeah, I'll take that.
Mate,
I'll take that all day, mate. You're going to see it again, though. Well, I'll take that.
it's an amazing, amazing story.
Yeah, most
For them to make that film from that is different level, and they got fair play to the guy, the director of it, who did it, because it's not just the story; it's the visuals and how he dropped it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it looked like a live action film, but it was a cartoon. So that's why had people tripping, because they're like, how the bikes going through the city. There's motorbikes running through the city. Cut scenes of how people coming off the bikes and the lines of the lights on the bikes going around the screen. It was like live action, but it was a cartoon. So it was like one of those head trips where you go, you'd see this in a Hollywood film.
Yeah,
This is animation from what year was it? What year was it, Kira? Was it mid 80s, late 80s?
Yeah, it was 80s. I think it was late 80s. I think the whole thing that I found with manga and that label, because manga was like kind of like a distribution label of Japanese anime. So I think from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the understanding of manga, the word manga, was like the name of that production company. But the manga referred to like the magazine version of it. Anime is the actual sort of cartoony animated version of it. You know what I mean? So really, it's anime, innit? But this now, if you say, right, okay, if I was to show you these three films,
I don't think we can talk about the middle one, because
I know. Yeah, we can talk about it, but not too much. You get me?
Yeah, man. You do your own research on that one in the middle, because it's the bad one.
So to me, what I found was just crazy. Was obviously, you know what I mean. We're fans of action films. We're fans of action films all over the world. We're fans of martial art films. Blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I found with the anime and the manga films when they came out was that obviously it was animation, so there was no limit on. You know what I mean? The limitation was the person's imagination.
Yes.
You get me?
Absolutely.
So if you could draw it, you would do it. And you saw films like these here, like Legend of the Overfiend, Fist of the North Star. They were just so mad. They were just so mad. Do you know what I mean? That visually, they were just incredible.
Fist of the North Star was, for me, for anime, was one of the best martial arts depicted films in that genre.
That and Ninja Scroll.
Ninja Scroll.
Ninja Scroll, man. You can't.
Jubei.
Yeah, man. You can't rap with Ninja Scroll, man.
Yeah, man.
That's old school and deep.
But I can still quote one of the guys from Fist of the North Star. He goes, "You don't even know you're already dead." And then he'd do something, and the guy's diced upon the floor, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah, it's deep.
How you doing so?"
But
the film is heavy.
Yeah.
Crying Freeman. They made a live action film of that with the dude from. It was in John Wick film. What's his name?
Yes. What is his name? It'll come to me because I was thinking of him earlier.
Yeah. Basically, the Crying Freeman. It was such a well-known anime, Pulp Fiction kind of thing. And they made a live action film, and had the guy. That's the guy who played the main character of Crying Freeman. They did a live action with him, and he was the baddie in the last John Wick 3.
Mark Dacascos.
Mark Dacascos. Yeah.
Yeah, and Mark Dacascos was in a film called Drive, right? And that was literally what Rush Hour blatantly copied, because it had Mark Dacascos and Kadeem Hardison.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You're pulling it there.
Yeah, another martial artist or the black guy sidekick, another one. You know what I mean? There was that and martial law, both of them. But that was a great film, Drive. Drive was a great film. Yes. Wicked fighting in that. Wicked. Yeah.
Ninja Scroll, man.
Ninja Scroll.
Jeez.
Ninja Scroll's deep. You know what? I don't know who's going to watch this, man, because we're geeking the hell out of this.
We're not even talking about the music or the journey, or we're just talking about these, mate. You know how we go, man. We can talk about this nonsense for hours. Let's try and get back on track.
No, man, this is cool. I like this. This is good. I can't geek out with many people, man. Do you know what I mean? This is
So
good.
what's next on the list?
This is good, man. Let's so obviously one of your favorite actors is a man called Clint Eastwood, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Talk to me about Clint.
Man, no. But growing up, the main influence for me growing up with films was my dad adored westerns.
Yeah.
All them old school westerns. He had I can't tell you how much he loved them. He watched every single film, every single TV show that came on. He read books about westerns. He did the whole damn thing. And obviously, as a kid, you kind of take in this kind of stuff. You know, oh yeah. Well. Then I watched A Fistful of Dollars, Clint Eastwood, and I was like, oh my days, what? Because that's a bad film. I can watch that. For me, I can watch that now from front to back. It's still a bad film. And then the character, the man with no name, Sergio Leone, all those kind of westerns, Pale Rider. I could still watch those films. Good, tough films, man.
Yeah. So would you say the whole sort of cowboy genre was a big influence for you sort of growing up? You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah. big time. I actually had the 6-shooters. I'm going to try and get in contact with someone who there was like a fancy dress party for this guy's 40th. And I went as a cowboy. Well, I was working, I was an adult at the time, and I had spurs made. I had the bullets to go in the belt made. I had the long coat, the hat, the spurt. I had the whole damn thing. And I turned up and I was like, yeah.
Does he look anything like this?
Whole lot. That's exactly the same. That's how much. Look at the 2 horses on, mate. Look at the thing, man. Look at the thing.
Brethren.
The red trousers.
That looks like your pants.
The
Those are some big pants.
No, man. There's some red trousers. Those red trousers like a Batman. Red trousers. The chaps. The 2 horses on the waistcoat. I'm like, geez, are you kidding me? Fire. I'd rock that now. Look at the hat. The hat's at a jaunty angle.
Like, I don't feel no way, though.
It's like, yo, that's real. That is. That's in my mum and dad's living room. That is in Reeds, in Great Hampton Street.
That was just standard, man. That's standard, man.
Mate, I got a 6-shooter out. I'm in business,
man.
yo.
Yeah, man. Wanted, dead or alive.
Yes. That's how much Clint meant to me, man.
That was a big photo, man, to be fair.
I got the good, the bad, and the ugly all in one photo. I captured it right there.
Yeah, man. That photo.
That photo's deep, man.
It is, man. It's got levels to that, mate. Most definitely.
I love that photo.
Let's play some music, man. Let's see what I got. So if I play you this, what memories does this evoke, mate?
Yeah, man. Glenn 3?
Yeah.
This just reminds me of Croc, to be fair.
Yeah.
Croc rinsed this tune in Culture Centre, in town. It was like he quickly became the resident DJ. I wonder why. Because he just knew the tunes that were fire. And at the Culture Centre, like, you had this like big dance hall area that was upstairs, and there was like some speakers and a record player, and Croc just took it over, and he was like, this is the tune you're gonna listen to. I don't care if you don't like it. Oh, this. And it was this was the tune. He must have played this tune about 20 times in a row. You put it on and just let it play, and it went play.
Catch you in a bit.
Just keep going. And it was a wicked tune. Big tune on time, man. Big tune,
Going
man.
on the rent.
This, for me, reminds me of Culture Centre in town.
Yeah.
Big time. And Croc just taking over the sound system like duties.
Heavy. Okay, I'm going to drop another one for you, right? So...
Oh my god. You know how long I haven't heard this tune? I hope Croc's going to watch this because
Talk to
He'll
me.
hear
Talk
this
to
and
me.
go, he'll be like that. Me.
Salute, crap.
Oh man, salute, brother. How?
Remember the what?
Let's just let this play, man.
Dude.
So, the story behind this tune for me is Croc's mum and dad obviously lived in Rings, and we used to go back to his yard. He must have bought this tune. I don't know where he got it from. I need to ask him actually. But it was like a Saturday afternoon or something like that. His mum and dad were out working or doing whatever, and me, Croc, and Leroy were in the yard. He put this on, and he must have played that same tune for 6 hours straight. And we loved every minute of those 6 hours because that bass line was so new and so fly at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I can still picture the living room because like his mum and dad had this like, was it a Westfield? The sofas, big red sofas, the Westfields, is it? He had this like wicked red sofa and the little sound system by the telly, and he bust this tune, and we were like, "What is this?" And we just sat there, just like rewinding the tune for like 6 hours. That
RSI,
intro,
repetitive strain.
yeah, mate, that intro is insane. It was like we'd never heard anything like it ever, and we're literally just like, "Does it get any better than this?" And it literally didn't. It was like, yes, love that tune.
Big.
Original Mantronics tune.
Yeah, man. Big tune. Okay, so I'm gonna play another tune, man. Back to back, mate. Back to back.
We're going.
Back to back to back.
Oh man,
One for the Sweet Boy tune.
Surface happy. So, this tune.
Talk to me. Stop dancing
Mate,
and talk to me, man.
I can sing this. I can sing this tune. I love this tune. So this tune
Don't
for
sing,
me,
mate.
I know.
What I say? Don't sing the tune. Talk
I'm
to me.
sorry.
I beg you.
So this tune for me reminds me of St Andrew's Church, the back of Avion Centre. There's like a boys' club, a community centre thing going on there. We used to go there, play football, play table tennis, play pool, and this tune was one of the things that got put on constant again
Yeah.
at the time. And having that as a backdrop to your running joke with people like yourself, Andrew Wright, Linval Walker, Croc, just everybody of the time around that era. And this was the backdrop. This tune for me at that point was the backdrop for us going on a Friday evening to this community centre. And that was the soundtrack for my youth for that era.
Yeah.
And I would say, I was 15, 16. And that was the soundtrack for that time for me. And I'm like, man, what a soundtrack to have. That tune for me, I mean, is just peak tune. It put me into that kind of 80s soul vibe. And I was like, yeah, you got me. I'm in.
So would you say the kind of 80s soul to the kind of 808 bass, hip hop, old time 80s electro, and then kind of thing there? That's a big influence, or the biggest influence on you, music wise.
Huge. Because at the time, when I got to 14, 15, my sister, love you Sue, she was 3 or 4 years older, and she was going. I was obviously at home schooling, going out with mates, coming and she started to go clubbing. So on Friday night, she's going clubbing to Fox's, where the DJs on a Friday night were playing Bear Chew.
Was it like Hitman and Her? It was them kind of times.
No.
Was it before that? Was it before that?
She's got better music taste than that. So
Play.
watched the ride. So Saturday morning, she's obviously been out clubbing all night. I'm up, crack a door and going, Saturday, what am I going to do? I'm going to do nothing. She would go straight to Ruby Red Records in town, buy up all the vinyl that she had heard the night before in the club. All Saturday afternoon, she's just playing these tunes, playing it. And I'm just there going, what's the tune? And she'd be like, oh yeah, it dropped last night in the club. So-and-so was DJ, look like Norman. Yes, Norm. Drop it, just better tune. I'm like, what? So every Saturday afternoon, once my sister started going clubbing, Saturday afternoon the house was full of music.
Yeah.
And these were the tunes that were getting dropped. And I was just like, what?
So how were your mum and dad with this? How were your mum and dad with this? Because your mum and dad weren't really a music.
I don't know whether I've told you, but I think both my mum and dad are part Spanish because they used to go siesta every Saturday and every Sunday afternoon. So between the times of 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock, they were asleep. No joke. My mum's Irish. My dad's like 100% Protestant kind of thing. The Spanish, man. 100% Spanish. Siesta.
Was it siesta? Was it?
No. Trust me, siesta. I don't want to know that business. But I was like one of them ones. Turn the music up. Literally every Saturday and Sunday afternoon, they still do it to this day. They go to sleep.
I don't want to break your bubble. I don't want to bust your bubble. They're doing the thing.
No.
Watch Alka-Gel.
Turn the volume off. Turn the volume off. But literally every Saturday and Sunday afternoon, I used to go to bed and just go to sleep. But so
go to sleep.
Well, the first 10 minutes wasn't sleep. The next 4 hours was sleep. Do a thing for 10. I don't know.
I'll be down there going to watch this, you know.
Me too. But still. I was stuck in sidetracked. So my sister was fucking tunes. I'm gonna start talking nonsense. So let's not. I don't want to talk about mom and dad and the thing. That wouldn't be a good look.
Shit might get real quick. You know what I mean?
My dad would find me and go,
so tell me about your relationship.
My things like this, man. So basically, my sister used to just come home after clubbing. Saturday afternoons was just like vinyl afternoon for like 3 or 4 years, just vinyl. And she was coming on with all these like kind of soul tune, early house tunes from House Sound of Chicago, like Steve Silk Hurley, early house tunes. When I was at senior school, like early house tunes were dropping, and she was out clubbing to them. And I used to come home and go, oh man, you went clubbing last night? She was like, yeah man, this tune dropped last night, it's heavy. Dropped it on me. And I was just like, So she introduced all this music into my life. Mate, this one. Do you remember this one?
Yes, I do.
Nitro Deluxe. This is brutal. early house, kind of moving into the acid house period. And she came on with that, and I was like, Nitro Deluxe. Oh, Nitro Deluxe. She played it. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, here we go. Let's have it.
Let's have it.
I was like, oh, okay. Suddenly started shocking it, going, oh, okay, I get it. And me and my sister would be dancing around the living room going,
so, okay. Let's rewind back to that time, right? Okay. You were talking about, how old were you, first of all? How old?
At that time, when this tune dropped, I was probably about 14, 15.
Right, okay. So, Garms check, Crep check. What you rocking these times? Because you listen to some tune. So what was going out?
At that point, I've got to say that my Crep game was low. Because I can remember telling my mum and dad that the school basic shoes I was allowed to have grey shoes.
Grey
shoes. I don't know why I tried it, but I did. So my mum went and bought me the shoes for the year, one pair of shoes for the year.
Make sure you put the bro in.
I was like, yeah, man, I got my little loafers with the tassels. I was like,
tassely moccasins.
Little tassel moccasins.
Moccasins, mate. Moccasins.
Yeah, fly. So I went to school and got told off. Went, they're not regulation.
Yeah, take them off.
Go on.
Oh.
So when I'm told that, I went, these shoes, should be black, and I'm not allowed to have grey ones. So my dad then went to a shoe shop and bought a black resin and painted my shoes.
Oh, jeez. Quite right, too. Big
He
up,
was
Mr.
like, I'm not
Hardy.
buying you no shoes. I ain't got the receipt
Quite
for them.
right. Quite right.
I'm not buying you any more shoes because you
With your
shouldn't have messed up in the first
far
place.
self.
So he painted my grey shoes black.
Quite right. Serve you right, man.
And I went to shoes with these painted things. And I was like,
should-
what?
He should have got you some blooming, some big, steel toe cap things, man, like last year.
Yeah, he
That's
should
what
have given me his shoes, his work shoes, his hobnail boots. But I can't believe that I went to school with some grey shoes that were resin painted black.
Yeah, man, nothing wrong with that, man.
And anytime I kicked ball with them,
Righteous.
the resin would just come off and it's like scuff up and just be grey. My dad would repaint them
Yeah.
every day.
Wow.
I mean, well, you shouldn't have lied to him, man. There you go.
I saw it go.
I'm not made of money. This is rain.
So, you music-wise, you kind of starting getting to exposed to different styles of music, like house, the more sort of clubby stuff,
Yes.
right?
yes,
So
definitely.
moving on from there, so you're going into teenage, you're starting to go out and about and
Yes,
stuff. What
yes.
were the haunts? What were the local haunts that you used to
I
check
have
with
to
your
say
people?
a massive moment was the collisions.
Oh,
In Walls, the like the first raves, the big raves was called a collision,
yeah,
and they had it was just like in the town hall. It was like a massive, loads of DJs and loads of tunes. And it was a mad. If you didn't have a ticket to this, you were nobody. If you weren't going to this, you were nobody. And you had to have the garms to go to the thing. Everybody, I can remember you had that brown click suit star.
yeah, man, my mum made it, mate.
That was
My
a big
mama
one. That
made
one.
it.
It was a big look.
Mum, yo, hey, no one else had it. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. No
Shout
one
out
had
to Mrs. Williams, man. Love you, bad.
Yeah,
No,
man.
man.
That, you had the was it the was it the Wallabies?
Yeah, with some wallabies.
The Wallabies. I
the
remember you
rust
rocking
brown.
the Wallabies, man. I was like, I never had the money to buy the Wallabies. I was like, oh man.
Oh, mate,
I had to
don't
go
get
with
it
these
twisted,
Brook
man.
Crips.
They were from
You rocked
Bacon
it with
stuff.
the Wallabies.
They were fake wallabies, man. You know what I mean?
Oh,
they
were
weren't from
they?
Clark's. Yeah, they were fake ones, man.
The business stuff.
Yeah, man. You know what I mean? You just got to move quick so people don't see them properly.
Yeah, man. It was a good look, mate. You had it was the Black Seal holster thing as well.
Shout out to Black Seal Handsworth.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Black
man.
Seal. Everybody,
I've
if you
still
know
got
about
that.
Black Seal, you know.
I've still got that. I've still got it, man. I found
Really?
it the other day. Yeah, man. I've still got
my
it, man. It
days.
still
You know
looks
how
good.
much money that must be worth now?
Oh, mate, it's deep, man.
That must be
well
worth some
made.
shed.
Well made, man. Well made stuff. So you talk to the people about Collision. What was Collision? What was that
Man,
all
it was a
about?
mixture of early house kind of like tunes coming in and the birth of like the acid rave, like the rave culture, original early 90s rave culture. And it was like every culture was in there. If you just loved music, you were in there. And I can remember, what was the tune? Unique 3, the theme. They played that once at one of them, and it must have got pulled up about 5 times because it was the last tune of the night. There you go.
I come prepared, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Mate. Took different a bit. Still got it.
Go on, to the bars, to the bars.
Let me try.
Ladies and gentlemen, beat pusher, spitting bars. All right, go. Come with it, man.
I'll try to remember it.
Come on.
Dope different the beat does like a man. As like a man, the crowd starts to sing. Ding. On another level. Unique 3. Drop it in check.
No.
No, I'm not bad. Drop it in check. Like the time is right now.
All right, you can stop now, man. You can stop now.
Sorry. This tune, the thing is, this tune dropped about 6 times at the end of the dance. They just kept pulling it up and pulling it up and pulling it up. And literally, I went home, and the next day, my sister bought the tune, and we literally sat there on the vinyl player going, let's write these lyrics down. And me and my sister wrote down the entire verse to the beginning of that tune, and I had it down. We all had it down.
Yeah, man. So what happened? What happened?
This. The only time I'll be able to do it is now, and everyone's going, dickhead.
Yeah, no.
But
It was like,
you're about
Just look-
30 years too late, Mark.
too late, man. Everyone's just shaking their heads disapprovingly. Huh?
I don't care, though. I love it, man. I love this tune.
Nah, man.
If you know about those rave early days, this tune was the tune.
Yeah. Do you know what?
Bar none.
I think it was a Wolverhampton thing. You know, I don't think it's
Really?
so much everywhere else. I think Unique 3 are from Manchester. I think. Right.
Oh, right.
But I think it was like an anthem in Wolves for Collision and in like the Wolverhampton Midlands area. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't think they know it's so much London sides or whatever. But I think in the Midlands, in Wolverhampton especially, it was a big thing because of Collision. You know what I mean? I remember after one of the collisions, right? I think it was a Civic Hall one, and it came outside and some trouble kicked off outside, man. And like, obviously the theme had just dropped inside and trouble kicked on. The fight was broken out, man. And someone was getting kicked up. And like, there was people just watching going,
Giving him a theme tune.
yeah, man. He got beat to a theme tune, man. He got beat to a really great tune. So you know what I mean? Always think of the bright things. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Think
dear.
positivity.
That was a good time, though, man.
Yeah.
I think they only did about 3 or 4 of those collisions because I think it got locked off because people said there was too many people going in. There was trouble outside, and it was all this kind of. Oh,
I don't know.
There's a drug culture. No.
But I think didn't
Everyone's
Collision
got
kind of warp into Quest? Wasn't it like sort of like a next phase of that? I don't know.
I think that was a while after. The Quest phase was a while after, but I remember going to Quest, man. Quest was heavy. It was bare drum and bass and all sorts of stuff, man.
Yeah. Because around that sort of time, we're talking early 90s, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? And like, if you look at the music wise, hip hop was coming into like the mainstream, and I remember going to Collision, and hip hop was the thing. Yeah, that was before rave. You know what I mean? And so you're listening to Big Daddy Kane. I was talking to I think I was talking to Croc about this, and talking to Tony about this as well. It's like, you know what I mean? You're listening to hip hop as like, I don't know, you're talking Big Daddy Kane, you're talking Aaron B. Rakim, you're talking Public Enemy, you're talking even UK guys like Shut Up and Dance. I remember Shut Up and Dance performing live at Collision.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
In my
Perform
opinion, Shut Up and Dance are the originators of drum and bass, in my humble opinion. You know, Goldie came in and did his thing and did it like on another level. But what he did was an extension of Shut Up and Dance, because what they were doing with these crazy breakbeat stuff with the reggae bass lines. And that for me personally was the start of that kind of genre.
Yeah, Shut Up and Dance and Ragga Twins and all them kind of people there. Do you know what I mean?
Big
going
time.
on with some stuff, man. It was crazy seeing that come in, because I remember going to Collision. I think it was good Collision, and they were like hip hop, and then all the bleepy stuff started to come in, and it was like, yo, what's going on?
I can remember when we used to go to Stump Juice, and
that's
someone
much later,
played.
though, isn't it? That's much later, though, isn't it? That's much later, though, isn't it?
Someone played a drum and bass tune with a KRS-One rap over it, and you were not happy. You weren't happy.
Really?
Yeah, you weren't happy. You were like, yo, this ain't hip hop. What's this? You can't do that. What are you doing? And I was like, because you were like, you're still to this day, I'm Mr. Hip Hop. At that time, you were not like happy with the fact that your culture and your hip hop knowledge was being diluted into a different format.
Really? I can't remember that.
I remember
can't remember
you
that.
vehemently going, hey, turn that thing off.
Do you know what? I'm going to say something now, right? I'm going to say it on the record now, because I know up until that point when we started to go to Stump Juice, right? I was a full-on hip-hop Nazi, full-on.
Time.
I didn't listen to nothing. I was blinkers. It was like I wasn't even listening to the songs where hip-hop came from. Is listening, you know what I mean? I was hip-hop. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until going to places like Stump Juice and saying, okay, we're in there, and you listen to music for music's sake. Do you know what I mean? There's just all different genres, just good tunes. Do you know what I mean? And expose you to certain things, and then they'll play a tune and you'll recognize a break in. You go, oh, that's from that. And then it leads you to go and look further afield. Do you know what I mean? So big up to Tim and all the Stump Juice crew, man.
Yeah, man. Alfonso.
Because, big up Alfonso. Yo, I'll tell you what, mate. Stump Juice, man.
Yeah, stump juice
Was
was
a different
just,
thing.
you only appreciate it fully when it's gone.
Exactly.
One of our
man.
friends was fast asleep on a dance floor because he was lean. He was like that, hand on head,
Like he's in his
stretch
yacht.
out in the middle of the dance floor. And
nobody
me,
cares.
you, and a couple of other people were like, "Yo, what's my man under? What's he doing?"
But
But he was
bro.
fast asleep.
He was safe, man. He was safe.
It was Chris. After
safe.
the dance was done, he woke up and went,
Yeah, man. Got his like good solid
Good.
4 hours sleep, man. He was set.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
he
Why?
was lean.
Yeah, man. Those are the days, man. Couldn't do it now, man. Scared of that shit now.
Oh,
You know what I
seriously.
mean? Afraid.
Stamp on.
Afraid like cut off jeans. You know what I mean? That's how afraid I am. Real talk. No, but I mean, you know, yeah, going to Stump Juice, you expose to all different kind of things. I was never really like a drum and bass man or a jungle kind of dude or anything like that. I didn't really go to them kind of dances, man. I was always a hip hop head. I was a hip hop Nazi, man. You know what I mean?
Big time.
Specific. Do you know what I mean? And I'm still not quite a Nazi now. Kind of reformed.
You're locked in. It's your thing, man. I get it.
That's
fine, man.
that's my lane, man. That's my lane. But I do love a lot of different things now. Do you know what I mean? If it's good, it's good. You know what I mean?
Well, I have to say that pretty much any kind of dope hip hop I've ever had is from you. Anything in my catalogue that I play Fridays, I've pretty much probably had from you. There's nothing there that's not from you because you're my guy. You're my guy for the hip hop lane, man. That's like.
But it's probably only because like I've bombarded you with that much that you've had to like kind of take on things.
Yeah. Well, when our respective families go camping, we go camping together, and we get the speaker out. We bust some tunes, and you just go, "Yes, hip hop." I'm like, I just sit there in a drink, going, "Yeah, man, this is nice." And I go, "Some of the playlist because Shazam." I need that tune. But yeah, man.
Man.
Those early 90s years were tough.
Yeah, man. So we're talking early 90s, hip hop wise. You know, obviously that's my subject, but I don't want to go down there too deep. And like the sort of dance culture, EDM, whatever they call it nowadays, that was a big thing. So you was getting into like your house days, your sweet boy days, innit? You know what I mean?
There was a mixture of things that I kind of was able to.
Were you into this?
One of ones.
Some gurning. Or some of that.
One of ones. But I was quite blessed because growing up in Reens, I had many different cultures to be friends with and be a part of. So I learnt like so many different genres of music for being in Reens that I feel blessed to have been exposed to so many different influences from different directions from different people. And the early 90s, for me, the early 90s hip hop era was the golden era. And I was like, and in the background, I got my sister dropping all these Chicago house tunes. But in the forefront, I got you, Dizzer, and other people just when we used to go up to Stoke and go to Valentino's and the Place, all these clubs. Every time we stepped into a car for the journey, the stereo system got rinsed of tunes from that era. And we were like, and I can remember you coming up to my yard, Darren turned up outside my house. I was in my suit, looking like Chris.
Because them days you had to wear a suit to go in clubs, man.
You had to wear a suit, man. And my dad would be like, "What are you doing?"
Shirt tucked in.
I'm going to club. Like, what Wolves? No, man, I'm out of town. I'm out of town, star. I'm out of town. I'm big night. I'm out of town.
Fucking cosmopolitan, innit? Oh,
doing the biggin.
Cosmopolitan, innit?
I don't go out these local places.
Cosmopolitan, innit? Derby.
I move around. So we used to go to Stoke. It was terrible.
Cosmopolitan, man.
But it was Valentino's in the Place because we used to go down on specific days because I think Fridays in the Place was like they'd have an R&B room and all that kind of stuff. And Valentino's on a Saturday, I think, was the R&B soul room, and there was like all that kind of stuff. We were going there. But that journey from Wolves to there musically was amazing. Do you disagree?
That's true. It's true. Some tunes
the
got dropped.
amount of tunes that got put on in that car in the hour and a half journey there
Yeah.
and back. So that's 3 hours of your night
Yeah.
listening to the driver's tunes. Because you're in the back seat, you couldn't go, can you play this tune? And they go, no, it's not. You just the driver, and they went, shut up, man. You're in the back. Oh no, this for me. Mate. Mate.
Right.
For me, for hip hop, this album is everything. Front to back, top to bottom, left to right. This entire album is killer.
You know this.
You feel me?
Tell me who this is. Tell me who this is.
So, Talib Kweli, Reflection Eternal, DJ High Tech. Entire album. I can remember the first day I heard any of these tunes. It was in my house, ready, waiting for you guys to come pick me up from my house to go up to Stoke. I've been listening to some tunes. I've come out of the house. It's like, yeah, man, I got my suit. I'm looking fly. I've got the smellies on. I'm looking good. Let's go. Got in the car, and Darren presses play on this album. And by the time I got from my house to the end of the end of the road, I was like, what is this album? Who is it? I need it. This entire album. I can't even tell you what a moment this album is for me. This was the one that we went, yes. Conscious kind of hip hop rap kind of stuff. Was just like, man. I mean, Trev, talk, man. How good is that album?
It's got to be, you got to be able to put the word classic as a prefix to it, man. Do you know what I mean? Because there's so many tunes, like you say, do you know what I mean? There's a lot of deep lyrics in there. There's a lot of just nice vibes. If you're just looking at beats, you're just looking at beats as a superficial thing. The beats themselves are amazing. You know what I mean? But then you look at Talib's style, and it was just like a seminal album, man, really.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It was like...
100%.
I'm not sure if that's what...
Him and Mos Def from Black Star. I didn't really... I've got to be honest, I didn't really get the Black Star stuff that they'd done together.
No? Okay.
No? I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
But I love Mos Def.
Yeah.
Always. But this Talib Kweli album, for me, was just above and beyond anything else I'd ever heard.
Yeah.
And I was like, at the time, I think Buster had got event level Extinction 1 or 2 out. And I loved Buster at the time.
Yeah,
but this came and it was just a whole different vibe, whole different like feel. DJ High Tech dropped the beats. The beats were different. It was just, to me, that I'm saying, I think for a hip hop album in total, this is number 1 for me.
For you? For
me, personally.
Do you know what? I'm going to have to Google what year that was, because I'm not even sure.
What year was it?
I'm just looking it up now.
Was it 94, 95, 96?
Train of Thought, Talib Kweli. 98.
98.
98.
Okay.
Yeah, 98. It was
for me, that album was just, it shut down everything prior. And that was the one.
Yeah. So at this point, up until this point, sort of between like your electro days and your Sweet Boy Soul days, right? Your Sweet Boy Soul days with tunes from your sister and that. Yeah. Do you still think hip hop was like still a big influence, or is it like just still eclectic with what you were looking
influence? Like Rakim, the PE, Public Enemy movement, the Rakim and all that. I mean, you can't argue with that. You can't argue with that back catalogue. Those tunes from Rakim and PE for those years were fire. but they were a different vibe at a different time. And for me, when Talib dropped that album, it was just kind of like an awakening
Yeah.
and moving into a different level, a different type of conversation. If you know what I mean, it was just for me. It was just different.
Yeah.
Hard to describe, but it was just such a different, of refreshing, different movement and different direction.
It wasn't kind of all braggy. It wasn't kind of sort of aggressive. It wasn't anything like
Yeah.
that. But do you know what I mean? It was still educational. It was still heavy if you just want to take it on a superficial level. It
Yes. There was
yeah.
nice vibes in there, if that's what you wanted. There was, whereas with PE and Rakim, it was, to a certain degree, it was gangster. It was like, I'm going to tell you.
Gangster, man. It's just tough, man. It's just tough. boy.
It's not gangster, but I'm going to tell you how I feel about this right now. And that was their vibe. But Talib was, it was like subliminal. It was sweet on the mic. The beats were nice. And if you didn't understand what he was saying, you'd still like it because it was so nice. Whereas with PE, if you didn't get what he was saying, you can jog on. You know what I mean? That was PE's vibe. PE didn't look about. Public Enemy told you. It was direct. Am I talking nonsense or what?
Now, PE was just hard, man. Unapologetically
man.
tough. And I love that,
it.
man. When they
do you
dropped...
mean you see him live?
Yeah, we saw PE live in
man.
sunny Wolverhampton, mate.
Heavy.
Do you know, if you stop and check it, though, right, the time difference between the two groups that you were talking about when PE were firing
Yes.
and when Talib's dropping, that's a decade, you know.
I know.
That's
It's a long
decade.
time, isn't it?
Yeah, man, it's a decade.
And
You know what I
Biggie
mean?
was
PE
out in the
dropping-
middle of them, Tupac
Yeah,
and...
well, there's a lot in between the two of them.
There's a
You know
lot.
what I mean? But you know what I mean? That's a big jump. You get me? So, but both of them
I've got to be
classic.
honest, I prefer Talib, Kweli, Reflection Eternal to Biggie any day.
That's your flavour. Oh,
That's me.
controversial.
That's me. I love Biggie. Love me with some Biggie. But for me, the Talib Reflection Eternal album,
What the album or as an
a
MC?
body of work, as a body of work,
Right.
for me, I prefer that to any album that Biggie did.
Controversial,
But
we like that on Source of the Force. Controversial.
you can't mess with, man. That Talib Kweli album is just different level, man.
Yeah. So okay, so we're talking. Train of Thought came out in 1998. Yeah.
Yeah.
So year after that, 1999. You know what I mean? End of the century, things is going mad. Man's talking about Millennium Bug.
I know, yeah.
People are getting paid bare ched to look at Millennium Bugs. The planes don't start falling out of the sky at midnight and all that sort of stuff, right? And then, I think 1999, this drops.
Oh,
You know what I'm
what
saying?
a seminal film that
Talk to
was.
me
I
about
think I
this
saw
film.
that at cinema about 6 times.
Yeah, man.
There's nothing about that film that is flawed. Nothing. And if you think there's something in that film you don't like, come and talk to me. I want to know.
So talk to me about this film. Talk to me about this film, man. What is it about this film that is so big for you?
You've got martial arts, you got futuristic vibes, you got great storytelling, you got great visuals. I mean, Lawrence Fishburne. Who doesn't love Lawrence Fishburne? He's a bad man. He's a bad. Carrie Fisher, she did the whole, that kind of movement and the bullet time technology. It was like there was so many different facets to that film, from the storytelling to the visuals to the technology, that came into that one moment that just went, wow. Literally, wow. And I love the trilogy. A lot of people got problems with 2 and 3. I don't care. I love all of them.
No, do you know what? I remember watching this the first time it came out. I saw it at the cinema, and I was sitting there watching it with my now wife, wasn't my wife at the time, watching it going, they've made a film for me. They've actually made a film for me. It had the sci-fi, it had the martial arts, it had the action, it had everything, man. Everything.
Well, it had, was it Yun Woo-ping who did the martial arts direction?
Exactly.
Who is the guy who does all the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. did all the kind of wire work for the martial arts. He introduced it was as if he introduced Hollywood to what he's been doing for 20 years with the wire work and lifting people up and moving them around in a martial arts vibe to Hollywood. And all of a sudden, Yun Woo-ping was like fire. Everybody was like, I need this dude to do my stunt choreography and all this kinds. For me, that was the perfect segue of Hollywood and a martial arts film. Mainly because one, the storytelling was amazing, the visuals were amazing, and the action scenes were, for me, 100% martial arts based. And from its origin, having Yun Woo-ping do the stunt choreography meant he brought all his people over from China and said, "This is how we do it. Watch the ride." And they caught it with the bullet time technology, and it was just like a moment where everyone goes, "What?"
Yeah, that the first time I saw Bullet Time, because there were two films out not long after each other. I think Matrix was the first, and then Blade 2 was the second film to show bullet time in it. Yeah,
Big
there
films
was a scene. There was a scene in Blade 2 at the beginning where Wesley kind of somersaults out of a building onto the ground, and the guys jump on motorbikes and he chases him. Yeah, where they do the bullet time there, where he shoots the bullet from the gun, and then the camera kind of follows the bullet into the man's back as he's running and goes around him.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So they dropped it the second time, but the bullet time when it first dropped on this, you know what I mean? You know that you're onto something when they start dropping bullet time in Shrek and all them thing there. You know what I mean? It's like, you know,
but when they create
the
the technology to give you a visual, it usually means it's like a seminal moment.
Yeah.
And that was
Explain what bullet time is if people don't know what we're on about, man.
Well, bullet time is where they have
we're geeking up, man. We're geeking out.
A martial arts scene or like an actor doing something acrobatic, and they have like 100 cameras around them, and each one is taking pictures multiple frames per second. So as the person jumps up and comes down, they've got like 100 frames per second from every direction. So they can slow-mo it down and go around the character and back again within a split second. And it just visually looks amazing.
Exactly. So that, you know, the scenes where Trinity's up in the air, busting that crane kick, and the camera goes around her. That's what it is. They had a load of cameras around the person as they jumped, took all these photos.
Yeah.
So essentially, you could get an image or a view of that person in the air from 360 degrees. And then they put all of that into the thing. They must have done some sort of technology to wipe the actual cameras out of the picture as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's all the way around them. But it's crazy, man. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Top draw.
Crazy. But like I said, when I first saw this, I think this was, correct me if I'm wrong, probably one of the first films where it was proper martial arts made in the West, like a big budget film.
Yes.
With serious things in it. And then
it was serious money invested.
Yeah, it went from that, and it just went. All of a sudden, Hollywood went, you know what? This is a serious thing. You know, this is actually, you know, I mean, this is how martial arts is supposed to be depicted. Fighting is supposed to be depicted in film. You know.
Well, there's a Matrix 4 being made now, isn't there?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, I'll be all over that, mate. All over that.
Hopefully, it's as good as.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling 3 that much, to be honest. Got to be truthful.
I get why people don't feel 3, but I just love it, man.
I think if 1 and 2, it's because 1 and 2 were so good, especially 1. But 3 wasn't as good as the other 2. It was getting too complicated. I think the Wachowski brothers were smoking too much weed or something. You know what I mean?
I think they were transitioning at that point.
Yeah, they were doing something. You know what I mean? They were doing something, mate. Real. But that when that film hit, it was crazy, and I think that just changed action cinema completely.
Yes.
All of a sudden, everybody wanted to go the extra mile to show fight scenes, action scenes, car chases, all that kind of stuff, just to a different level.
In the kind of Chinese culture of how they did martial arts scenes. And it was just like, oh, all of a sudden, thank God, you're suddenly getting that those people are doing it right and better than everybody else. So I started paying money to get them over and get it done.
Yeah. And another film, I'm not sure when Crouching Tiger came out, but that was Yuen Wu Ping as well, the guy who was the action director for
Yep.
action choreographer for The Matrix.
Mm.
But yeah, obviously he made Crouching Tiger, which is another beautiful film. Choreography for that, fight scenes for that were
Seminal.
amazing.
Seminal for
Wicked
me
film.
that I actually saw that film for the first time in Manhattan, New York.
You're just showing off now, innit? Your
Love
name
it.
dropping all over the gaff, mate.
Love it.
Easy, no?
But you know, you sit there and you watch something. It was if he'd made that film for me. I'd spent 20 years watching Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Donnie Yen, and then they dropped that, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
I was like, "This is my jam."
yeah, man.
The fight scenes with Michelle Yeoh, to the soundtrack, how the fighters interacted while the beat drum was going on with the soundtrack. It was just different level. And how they explained the fight scenes with the sword fighting and all that kind of stuff. I mean, damn.
Yeah.
For me, that is one of my favorite films ever.
So around that sort of time, okay, so you're still deep in your martial arts as you still are now, right? So going through that period, late 90s, going into the early 2000s, what other sort of martial arts actresses
Oh, Donnie Yen. I mean,
we checking for? Big up,
at
Donnie.
I think at that time, I'd say Donnie Yen was probably, for that period, one of the biggest
No shadow
for
kick.
me. It's like, during that period of time between 2005 2015, for me, Donnie Yen just owned the martial arts scene from Iron Monkey to, he ended up in a freaking Star Wars movie. I'm like, geez, come on, man. This dude deserves proper props. From the original Ip Man was far and above better than everything else around it at that time.
Ip Man was a big film. So what other actors? Any others you can think of around the sort of time?
So, well, we've gone from Jet Li. Jet Li was a different level. Donnie Yen. Then there's Tony Jaa. I think for me, after Donnie Yen was doing his thing in the background, you started to have these Filipino kind of martial art films with different styles of martial arts, with the Thai style kind of stuff coming out. Tony Jaa did a bunch of films that were basically everybody can elbowed in the head. Who doesn't love that?
The man said these kind of Filipino films in Thai style. You know, that's racist.
No, but you know what I'm saying, though? That part of Asia didn't really get the love it deserved for martial arts.
Oh, mate, yeah,
It was
yeah.
It was either
100%.
Korea, Japan, or China. So, and then all of a sudden, you got the Thai style influence coming through from the Filipinos and the different areas of Asia that never got no love. And then you've got, what was that film? The dudes in the building.
Oh, The Raid.
The Raid.
The Raid.
Jeez.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, The Raid came out. A man's actually dead in the film.
Yo.
The stunt actors in that film.
Let's come to that later. Yes, that's modern.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's deep, man. So, what about man like Steven Seagal? What you thought about? What your thoughts on him?
So with Steven Seagal, right? I mean, I have to rate him, man, for his earlier films, not his
Which ones?
recent things. Was it Mark for Death?
man. Mark for Death. You can't
Mark for
run.
Death. Was it? He was fighting them Rastas. Was it everybody out for dead? And then and Steven Seagal just come in, and just flipped him over and dashed him through some glass like boxes and stuff. I was like, oh shit, you know, all that kind of stuff. Mark for Death. Was it Reno? Unarmed and Dangerous. What was the dude who was in that?
Oh, I don't even know.
Unarmed
his
and
name.
Dangerous.
Yeah. Remo, man. Remo. Yeah.
The Last Dragon.
Yes.
Bruce Leroy.
Bruce Leroy, mate.
mean-
yeah. Ty Mac.
Oh man, that is one of my guilty pleasures. I still love that film, The Last
film.
Dragon.
Big film.
Music, like just jokes, just too much
Yeah.
jokes in that film.
Because I thought personally, like, do you know what I mean? Just doing a bit of research on you, I thought you were more a Steven Seagal fan than you kind of letting on, Rude Boy. Because like I'm looking at that.
Yes, I've got the same waistline, and I.
Nah, it's just like you're like a poor man Steven Seagal in this photo, man. You know what I mean?
Ain't no poor man Steven Seagal. Right. The Steven Seagal saw that
Budget.
picture go, yo, I wish I was that dude.
Really?
Yeah, man. Look at that carpet, man. That like jade green carpet. I'm like, doesn't want to like boss a pose on the jade green carpet, man? Come on, man. Out in the desert at last. I've still got that like Chinese Wing Chun suit as well. And sword, to be fair.
Photo suits me, man. That's funny.
That was a Matrix. That was a Matrix era kind of fancy dress party that went on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh wow. I don't know
I
what
think it was
Steven
a
was doing.
Matrix themed thing as well.
I don't know what Steven was doing, but his hair looks gorgeous.
I don't think he knows what he's doing.
Big up Steven Seagal.
Yeah, man.
Bad man. I'm just
Mark
a
for
cook.
Death was a big film.
I'm just a cook.
Just a cook.
You know what I'm saying? Big up Steve.
Well, fair play to him. He got with Killer. Was it Killer Brock? Killer LeBrock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Batting. Big up.
Hollywood. Innit?
Yeah, man. Nah, so do you know what I mean? We talked a lot about films. We talked a lot about music, man. Do you know what I mean? Let's chat about you, because obviously, you obviously got a huge love in music, huge love of film, huge love of all sorts of inspiration and different cultures and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So, obviously, very recently, you've gone down the route of writing your own book, which I think is a very big deal. You know what I mean?
So the feedback I'm getting from people is like, they're like, yo, that's really. I'm like, for me, I genuinely play it down, because a lot of the time I go, if I can do it, that means anybody can do it. But it's like I genuinely play it down to myself, because obviously I have such a low opinion of self-esteem, all that kind of nonsense, that I go, well, if I can do it, you can do it, and people can do it. It's about sometimes like writing. I started writing a book when I was 19. I had an idea, and I wanted to write a book.
So what made you want to write a book in the first place?
At this point, like recently, when I did this book, I just had this idea of like, I watch so many films. We all watch films all the time, and you sit there and you go, "Oh, that was a wicked film." Then you have an idea, and you know what would be a really good film? And I came up with this synopsis in my head of what would be a really good film. And I thought, oh, that's actually very different to what's out there right now. And I looked into writing scripts and doing like film pitches and all this kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I went through it all. I was like, this is a long thing, man. I just thought, just write the story. If you've got the story, you've got the idea, write the story. Do it for yourself. And this was at a point in my life when I was married with kids. And you know, when you hold your first child in your hands and you're like, the world stops. It's not about you anymore. It's about them. And you spend a lot of your time and energy trying to give them everything you have and potentially could have to them. I spent years doing that. And I got to the point where I was like, the kids didn't need me that much, and I was getting a little bit more time back and money. I was like, I wanted to do something creatively for myself and be like 100% like selfish. I think most parents at some point get to that point where they're like, I've spent the last how many years giving my all to your partner and your kids, and there's a part of you that wants to be selfish and you don't know how to.
Every day.
There's something you want, and you want to be a bit creative. You want to do something, and I was like, I've got this idea. I want to write this story. And I think you were the first person I've told that I had this idea. I wanted to write this story, and you went, "Yeah, man, do it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." That's like an affirmative kind of thing. I've got this idea. Let's do it. And I started writing. I did the first few chapters. I didn't want to tell too many people because a lot of people start writing and very few of them finish, if you know what I mean. So beyond that point, I didn't tell many people, but I kept it going. And it took about 5 years due to work commitments and family and life. And I got to the point where I was like, I've written 90,000 words in this document, in this Word document. I was like, this is something. But
It's more than
what
something.
you don't understand is that in the journey of writing anything, in a story that you want to be a big story, like an all-encompassing thing, there are highs and lows in the journey of a story, and there are parts of it that you're super excited about to write. Like, this is going to be a fight scene. I'm going to describe this. Man gets licked in his head. Oh, this milk bottle is going to get smashed in his grill, and the shop owner is going to be and you're going to be like, oh, that's wicked. I'm going to try all this. This is going to be descriptive. But the bits in between the action scenes are super boring, and you're like, oh, the dude's sitting on the sofa watching Netflix.
Is it kind of like watching Lord of the Rings? Like the battle scenes are amazing, but like all like the politics in between is like.
That's exactly it. But what you have to remember is you need the lows to get people to the highs.
Message.
So so there's parts of soft skills, bitch. There are parts of the story where you're like, I need to get my man from here, where this guy's getting punched in the face, to over here, where he's punching someone else in the face. But the storyline in between is
it gets
dry.
on the bus. It gets on the bus and it's late.
He got on the bus and he was
hasn't
annoyed.
got any change. He hasn't got any
He didn't have the
change.
fare. The bus driver told him to get off. And you're like, oh, Jesus, this is really super boring. So there are parts in the book where I was there, and I was like, oh man, I want the next high bit is I can see it over there. I can see it coming, but I need this dude to get to do this, to do that, to do that, to get to that. So I was like, okay, my man does this, and there are parts of it where you're just like, I don't want to write, man. This is not creative writing. You just want to. You think about it. You're like, I just want to write expansive, exciting things, but you can't do that unless you connect the dots between the timelines, the characters, and all this kind of stuff. And these were things I was having to consider. And I got to a point where the end of the story, the original end of the story that I had in mind, I hated. I didn't like it. I didn't want to write it. I hated it. I was like, I'm done. Forget this story. It's whack. I hate it. And I stopped writing for about a year because I didn't like the ending that I originally had planned. And then one day I just went, what if I did X, Y, Z? And then that meant this would happen. And I went, oh shit, that's it. And I literally, like, this was about 2 years ago when I went, oh my God, I've got the great ending, a great ending for a great story. Here we go. And I went on holiday with my family, mum and dad, to Spain. And I took my work laptop with me. And I was like, I spent a week writing whenever I could. And I finished the book in that week. And I got home after the holiday, I was like, it's done. I'm happy. It's done. And I was like, what the hell do I do now? I've written 90,000 words about this completely fantastical story. Where do I go from here? So initially I went, I'm going to contact a couple of people I know, done academia and blah, blah, about writing. So I contacted someone who I know is a doctor, Dr. Sarah D. And I went, have a look at that. See what you think. Give me some feedback on per chapter on what you think could be better or, edit it out. And fair play to her, she did it, man. She put the work in. I offered it out to a couple of other people who said, yeah, man. And then went, nah. And I was like, okay, I understand it's a big task to ask anybody of. But she did it. And it came back and she was like, man, Mark. And she was, it's quite a male-orientated story. And she went, Mark, this is really good. And I was like, you think so? And then a few months later, she got back to me and went, the other day, I was talking to somebody and I was quoting your book subconsciously, going, oh, in this book, there's a part of a story and it does this and it does that. And a woman, and she was like, it was your story. And I was like, what? And I was like, that's when you know.
Hold on, right. So how did that make you feel when you heard that?
Amazing, mate. Because I'm just, from my perspective, first time kind of writer, I'm just going, tapping around the keys, going, I'm doing all this. There you go. What do you think? I'm like exposing myself, going, yeah. And the first feedback you get is you go, this woman that it's a male orientated, it's like a Ready Player One, Jason Bourne kind of together. And she's gone, Mark, I don't normally read this stuff, but I was quoting your story to somebody going, oh, there's a story that I read. And I was like, are you kidding me? And she was like, nah. I found myself quoting your book to someone else. And that was a moment for me when I went, all right, this story maybe it's got some really strong female characters in. I felt like a wow moment. And then I gave it to my wife, who's my harshest critic, because she doesn't give a rat's. She'll say what she wants to me. She does it on a daily basis.
Yes, she does.
Yes, she does. Love you bad.
Big up Charlotte.
And she read it and she went, it's actually really good. And like she was like super surprised. She was like, it's really good. I was like, are you sure? Because she consumes books.
Yeah.
She can read a book in like 3 or 4 days, like unbelievable. And she read it and went, that was like validation.
Yeah.
And then I gave it to my dad. I went, oh, Dad, he knew I was reading. I was like, yeah, go on, Dad, have a look at that. He read it and went, I'm really surprised, Mark. I didn't realize you were so intelligent.
Oh, no.
I was like, well, I'm only 40 something. Took you a few years to realize, because you certainly didn't give me that support when I was a kid. One of them was my moments when your dad goes, oh, shit. One of my youths is actually intelligent. Like, he didn't know. It's like, oh, yeah, I've got some pit in here. Yeah. But that was a moment for me personally as well, because validation from your parents is a big deal.
Of course it is. Yeah.
You know, and for me to get that from my dad was like huge. It was, for me personally, it was huge. You know, one of them ones. And then literally 3 days ago, Leroy phoned me and went, mate, I'm 3 or 4 chapters in. This story's heavy. Do you know so-and-so's in it? I went, of course, I wrote it, son. And he reminded me about who are the people I've name-checked in there. That it's not like you wouldn't, if you don't know them, you wouldn't know. Which made me phone you and go, oh, shit, Joe, you're in there? There's something in there. I'm not going to tell you what it is, because you have to read the thing. There's something in there that as soon as you read it, you go, oh, yeah. That's you know, it's just like a little phrase or a little something that is you. Because through the storyline of the book, I have to say that Dals is in there. There's like part of the story where the kid goes and does something in a shop.
Spoiler alert.
I'm not doing it.
Don't do it.
But Dals was the inspiration.
Good.
As kids, we spent how much time in the back of that shop on the arcade games?
I don't even know how much money I spent
Black
in there,
Dragon.
man. I could have bought a car, mate. I could have bought a car. Easy.
The amount of time we spent chaired in the back of that guy's shop, 10 and 20 pence coins in his arcade machines.
Big up to Dals and Chan and Jess,
Dals,
man.
man.
Big up, man. Big up.
You know, and you go through that. I went through that process, and for it to be out like a week and a half ago, it's mad. My head still probably doesn't fully understand. Because I had someone at work come up to me, I think it was the end of last week, and she bought the paperback, came up to me and went, can you sign it for me? And I was like, what? She's like, sign it. I was like, what do you want me to say? She went, well, you're the writer. You make something up.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's one of the ones where you go, people putting your story in front of you and going, sign it. And I'm like, it's mad, mate. It doesn't make no sense to me.
No,
So
it's sick. It's
I
sick.
genuinely undervalue what I've done, but I do get validation from other people going, yo, that's a big, big deal. And I
It
sit
is,
there
man.
going,
It is. It is. It is.
it's one of
It
them.
is.
You know what I mean?
The way I look at things now, especially since this lockdown, right, is time, and with the last 18 months I've had, right, is time is precious.
Yes.
You get me? Time is precious, man. And like, listen, in the last episode, I was chatting to Tony, right, and he was talking about the kind of full circle that he's made coming back into music and stuff. That was his gift to do, and that was something that was still in him. And he's got to go and do. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that, like what you're saying there about going and write this book, that was something that was in you from time,
Yes.
and you just
It was.
had to
For
do
me,
it, man.
like seeing my, I'm starting to, like, only recently starting to connect the dots. My dad reading heavily about Westerns and all this kind of stuff put the idea in my head about books and writing, and then having ideas myself, then trying to write something when I was 19. All that thought process was always there. It was about whether I committed the time to do it. I'm sure I had someone to work to me say today, lots of people try to do what you've done and don't do it.
Yeah, that's it, man.
And I said, how
If it
long
was,
did it take?
if it was easy, everyone
would
would have a book out. If
exactly.
it was easy, everybody would do it. It's
I
like
said
anything. If
25
it was easy,
years.
you know what I mean?
And you went,
It's something to
I'd
say.
have given up after 2 months.
And most
But it's
people
one
do.
of those things. If you believe in your own creativity, you're doing it because you love it. Then it's not a job. It's not a chore. It's just something that's fun. So believe in. It's like biggest message I would say: believe in your own creativity. Forget everybody else. If you love something, do it. Don't watch anybody else. Don't let anybody else put limits on what you can achieve creatively. Just give it a go. Just try. Don't give up. Just keep going. It's small steps, man. If someone says it takes 1,000 steps to do something, you take the first 10 steps, you've won because you've done more than other people would do. And eventually, you just keep taking 10 steps and you're there.
It's interesting. I was watching like a vid. It came on like a YouTube, you know, like when you go down a YouTube rabbit hole.
Yes.
And these things just come on. There was this one of Jay-Z, like an interview with Jay-Z talking about kind of like an inspirational thing with him and how his sort of thought processes with things and how he kind of interacts with people and does things and stuff. And it was talking about how he sees people telling him that you can't do that. He says, when people talk to me and say, right, okay, no, you shouldn't do that, you know, you can't do that. He goes, well, now you can't do that because it's someone else's insecurities or someone else's
100%.
thought that they can't do that, so therefore you can't do it. But it's
The
most of the time it's not from that person being negative. It's probably from that person trying to be protective.
It's their own insecurities that are stopping them. They're projecting their insecurities on you. I think for me, from school years, especially senior school years, none of the teachers gave an absolute damn about any of the students. They didn't believe in anybody. Unless you were naturally achieving academia at a high level, they didn't give a damn. Everybody else was like, allowed him. And then for me personally, as a young teenager, I got no positivity, no one saying to me, you can achieve if you try. Nobody. So I believed it. So I kind of believed the fact that these teachers and this education system were telling me I was at nothing. And I firmly believe that I took that on into my adult life going, well, nobody believed in me there, so I ain't worth shit. So I'm going to take that attitude forward. I'm going to do what I can do on a limited basis. It wasn't until I had my first child in my hands where I went, I need to do better. I need to be better, do more, get my education, do all this stuff. And I was like, it was like a switch And I was like, those people didn't believe in me. Forget them. Forget those people. They didn't believe in me. I believe in me. And I went and started doing my HNC in mechanical engineering. I started doing all education stuff. And I was just like, forget them. And each step was tough because you have your own insecurities where you go, I don't believe I can do this. But just keep putting one foot in front of the other and believe in yourself. You will do it. If you want it, you will do it. What a lot of the time I think that people have a position where if they don't know the answer themselves already, then they go, oh, I'm stupid, I don't really know. But with life in general, we're a community. If I don't know something, there's stuff that I don't know now at work, but I know people who do know. So I go and talk to them and go, I don't know about this. Can you tell me about it? No one knows everything. No one person knows everything. And that's what you have to remember. Go and talk to as many people as you can and make as many connections and draw on other people's knowledge to make yourself great. Because if we all pull on each other's knowledge, it pushes everybody up. I'd much rather push people up than pull them down. Because that negative route's just, it doesn't get you anywhere.
Real talk. But yeah, I do think that this kind of the lockdown, especially, it's been sort of food for thought for me, and just, you know what I mean. I think just enjoying myself again, man. You know what I mean. Just laughing. You know what I mean. There's nothing more that I like than, you know, like the belly laughs when you nearly pass out. My daughter ran a joke with me a couple of years back, man. I passed out, you know, literally dropped off the chair. I laughed that hard, dropped down. Ask my, literally, man. And I love that. I love that. Mine's amazing. Do you know what I mean? But it's just having fun and realizing that, you know what I mean? Time waits for nobody stuff.
It's true, man. Like Seb's 12 and Georgia is 9. And I'm starting to see, you start to see them. You've known them. You've known them as well. And their characters change.
When Seb was born, he threw up on me. That's how long I've known Seb.
Yeah, man. I told him.
Exorcist.
I told him I don't like him. Like,
I know, man. Held me hard.
But, it's one of those ones where the other day, there's like become a running joke in the house where someone says something to you and you go, yeah. And then as soon as they turn their back, you go, and you look at someone, and it's from a film, the Office Party or whatever it is, where you go, no, there's no house party. We're gonna have an house party. And you're like, as soon as they turn away, you go, there's gonna be a house party. And it's one of those moments. So in the house now, this running joke. As soon as someone says something to you, and you go, oh yeah, man, totally. As soon as they turn away, you go. So Seb dropped this on Charlotte the other day. And my wife, obviously, and like, so Charlotte asked him something, oh, you need to do this, and he was like, yeah. And through the doorway, he looked at me and went, I swear to God, I nearly pissed myself off. I was like, yes, dude, that's the one. And I swear to God, it killed me. It was like a proper serious moment. And like, there was a second time after that where Charlotte was saying something to me. And I was like, yeah, totally, yeah, what you need? Yeah, man, I'm totally going to do that.
I'll do it
and
right
I was
now.
in the room, and then Seb was in a different room, and I put my head around the corner and went, and Seb started crying. And Charlotte turned around and went, did he just do the nod thing? That one, those ones. And I was like, Seb went, yeah, he did it. And I was like, it was a good one, though, and he went, yeah, it was awesome. But it was like one of those moments, you see your kids getting those moments, and it's like, oh, wow. Can't. And you see their characters developing and stuff, and it's a beautiful.
It's wicked, isn't it? It's wicked, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's wicked.
Love it, man.
It's wicked, man. But yeah, so what would your tips be to somebody who has an idea of a book, or has an idea for a screenplay, or has an idea for something, anything creative? What would your tip be?
Well, for me, just start writing. The hardest thing is to start, because people will tell you can't do this. What idea have you got? Nah, it's not good. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody what you're doing. Just do it. You know what I mean? Just have an idea in your head and start writing. The hardest thing to do is start typing away and going, oh, someone went to the market and I'll smash it in the face with a bottle of milk. You know, just start somewhere.
That sounds like a great story, actually. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a great opening, isn't it? TV show. Woman walked into a shop, smashes it in the face with a bottle of milk. I mean,
I'm sure that was in EastEnders, man. To be fair,
yeah, man. But the thing is, like, don't forget that your creativity cannot be denied. If you want it to be out there, do it. Don't tell anybody about it because they'll go, "Oh, you can't do that." You know. What do you know about that? It's like, man, Google anything. Google's the best thing in the world. When I was like, "How do you write a script?" Google. How many words do you need in a novel for a science fiction tech novel? Google. And it went 90,000 words. I went, here we go, 9,000 words. Then I Googled, how many words per chapter should I have for this type of style of novel? And I went, Google. And it told me. I was like, okay, baseline. Then I just started writing. Then you start finding out things about typeface and font spacing and all this different stuff. These are things you don't think about, like double line spacing and all the rest of the stuff. But it's there. If you want that knowledge, it's there for you to access. It's just on your phone. It's on your laptop. It's wherever you want it to be. Just start somewhere and start writing your thoughts and your ideas about what you want to say. Everything else, the most important thing about writing is creativity. Anyone can find out how to punctuate a sentence. Anyone can find out what font it should be in, what size letter it should be. But the most important thing is creativity. That spark, that idea that you think is different to everything that's out there, and just do it.
And put your stamp on it, man. Put your own flavour on it.
Yes,
do something
put your
unique.
own style on it.
Do it.
Put your own.
Do it. Everything started from
everything
somebody
you write from
imagining
that point. Everything you write from that point is your perspective. It's like the kid in my story. He's got his headphones on. He's listening to tunes. What's he listening to? MF Doom. That's what he's listening to. You give your characters flavour that you want them to have.
I'm going to have to dig up some MF Doom now.
Yeah, man.
Talking.
Yeah, I'm just like, everything I've written so far, I've had people contact me now and say, everything that I've read from your story, I can 100% hear you saying it. I was like, well, that's great to hear because I wrote it and I wrote it from my perspective with my ideas and my thoughts. And here's some MF Doom for you.
Yeah,
So the main character is chilling on his bed, just listening to some tunes. And he's listening to MF Doom. His creps are obviously Jordan 4s because they're my favourite trainers.
Standard.
So you give your characters creatively parts of you. It's impossible to not do.
Yeah, man. Now we can. Well, you know what I mean. You know me. I was when you said you were going to do things. I thought this is a big thing, man. Respect, man. Go for it, bro. Go for it. And then when you said, right, okay, I've finished. I'm going to get this thing published, man. I was super proud. And then when you brought the book round to my yard to say, yo, it touched me, man. It touched me more than if I did it. It touched me more than if I had done it, to be honest, mate. Do you know what I mean? I was mad proud, man. You know what I mean? And I thought you were a dick. Do you know what I mean? What, you're a talented dick.
I am a dick.
But you're talented.
I'm a fun dick.
Yeah, fun dick. The new word. Fair play, man.
You can edit that out if you want.
I left that shit in. You know what I mean? Nah,
At the end of the day, man, it's one of those things. The book is going. I want it to be a trilogy.
Oh, okay.
But the thing beside the trilogy, I've got other ideas for books that I want to write. But it's just about having the time to sit down and go through that process, because it took me 5 years last time, and I've read a lot of stuff online about books and how to write and how you come across, and everything says that your first one's whack. You write your first book and it ain't that good. But what I can see from my writing, from the beginning of the book to the end, is huge. There's a huge curve that I can see in there about description, detail, storyline, and how I put across my ideas. So I can see that I've learned from writing those 90,000 words. I can see there's a line there
Yeah.
where towards the end of the book, my writing gets better. So I'm hoping that when I get round to writing the next one, my writing will start at that point and keep going in that trajectory.
Well, you got to
'Cause it's
flex
about
that muscle,
learning
man.
process.
You got to train that muscle. Start. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
man.
You can't stop off the horse too long, man. Jump back on it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Wicked. So that's the next flex. Then the next flex is number 2 in the trilogy.
Yes.
Awesome.
So the first one is discovering the tech. The second one is the main character owning and running and marshalling the tech. The third one is where everybody has the tech and is trying to cause problems because it's mass owned. So there's like a story arc of new being marshaled, and then everybody's got it, because eventually whatever tech you have around you within 5 years, everybody's got it. If you pay £1,000 for something now, in 5 years it'll cost you £10. And there'll be something else that is 10 times as fast, 10 times as big. Technology moves that fast. You go from 0 to 1,000% very quickly in a short amount of time.
Wicked. Anything else you want to say to the people then, man? Because we could go on forever, mate.
I know, yeah. We could talk about film and music for a very, very long time. It's too easy, man.
Yeah, man.
Maybe that's for a part 2.
Yeah, man. Most definitely.
Nah, man, it's all love, man. You are one of the biggest inspirations for me as a friend, and through hip hop and music and family and everything, man. So it's all love, man. It's all love.
Oh, that's big, man. Do you know what I mean? It's our family it's family basically. Do you know what I mean? And this lockdown makes me miss you. You know what I mean? I miss my Georgia, I miss my Sebi.
And New Year's Eve parties between our two families. They're big, you know.
It's a big thing, man.
Food,
we might have to do a
music,
virtual one this time, innit?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We got to do something, man.
We'll
you
do
haven't been
something.
camping all year? What's going on?
Sucks, man.
Oh.
Man. Yo, when I say people, listeners, that, you know what I mean, I am the black camper. I am that guy. Do you know what I'm saying? There's not many of us, man. We're like unicorn doodoo. Serious.
100%.
I mean,
Like rocket
so
or shit, man.
Mummy, it's a black man camping. Yeah, man, I'm that dude. And I got the kit too. You know what I'm saying?
He's a better camper than most people.
On the Black Bear Grills. Not. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm never drinking my own wee, so allow that, mate. Allow that.
Ever. You cleaned up some weirdo from that porta potty.
Oh, jeez.
Jesus.
That's another podcast, mate.
I know. Man,
that was so good.
The Sunday when we're packing up, and you're like, okay, who's not used the porta potty because the piss is everywhere? And you're looking at your family, and I'm just like, oh damn, this shit got real. Yeah, man.
I had to get rid of that shit, man. Bin that frigging tent, man.
No more porta potties in the camp.
Allow that. People walk.
Go use the toilets.
Yeah, man. Or a bush, whatever's closer. You get me? Anyway, people.
Yeah, man.
Mark, it has been an absolute pleasure, man. Absolute pleasure, man. Serious, man. Do you know what I mean? I've quite enjoyed geeking out on some films, you know. You know what I mean? I've quite enjoyed.
Well, if you want
that.
to geek out further on the manga film Kung Fu flick, just let me know, man. I mean,
yo, do you know what? Do you know what I mean? We should do like a little side hustle with like some film reviews and things. What you saying?
Let's do some Kung Fu flick reviews.
We should do it. Okay, watch this space. That's coming. That's coming on Buddha Palm TV. Yes.
Yeah, man.
Buddha Palm CC and Buddha Palm TV. Let's make this happen, man.
Yeah,
Mark,
man.
not but love, bruv. Salute, Beat Pusher, Mark Harding. Hey, plug the book, man. What's the name of the book? We talked about
Lost
it.
in the Sea of Code. Go
Lost
to Austin
in the Sea of Code.
Publishers. Go to Amazon. Get the e-publisher or get the paperback. Just hit me up, man. I'll get you. Get it.
Awesome.
Like, if you're local, come and see me, man, and I'll get it signed for you. No problem, man. Just
big up, man.
It's all love.
He writes and everything, man. The man's talented. You know what I'm saying? He can read, write,
Anything I don't do.
arithmetic.
I don't know.
You don't flipping join on the freaking call on time. That's what you don't do.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
I don't do technology, apparently.
Real talk. You know what I mean? But watch out,
No,
Mark.
it's good, man. Yeah,
Big
man.
love, mate. Big love, man. So I saw
See you
the fourth
Friday.
episode
See you
3
Friday,
signing off.
people.
Friday, yes. It's a
Don't
big
forget
thing.
Friday, One Nation
Yeah,
Blue
man.
Blues.
Yes, sir. Big love, man. Peace.
Yeah, man.
Another one in the bag. Episode 3 was another good one. Peace to my man Mark, aka Beat Pusher. Always a pleasure linking up with my bro there, man. Do you know what I mean? He's a great lad. And creases me up every time. And I think it's quite inspirational, his story about how he got to writing his book. He's kind of playing it down, but I still think it's a pretty big deal. And I think it's great just to sort of hear from him the fact that, do you know what I mean? It's not a bad thing to want to do something for yourself after investing so much time into something completely different that's not you. Do you know what I mean? You still got to be yourself. You still got to be your own entity. So another lesson learnt, man. Do you know what I mean? This is getting good, man. It's getting educational to me anyway. So, yo. So peace again to Mark, aka Beat Pusher. Again, next week we'll be coming with another hot interview. So stay tuned. Hit subscribe. Hit the like button. You know what I mean? Pass the collection plate round. Like my man Tony Brown always says. Hit that like, man. It doesn't cost anything, but it shows YouTube I'm going on with the thing. So enough respect, enough love. Peace.